Welcome on a Monday. Good weekend. Great weekend, as a matter of fact. Oh, my goodness. A lot going on. Brewers take 2 out of 3 from the Nationals over the weekend. And the way things stand right now, the Brewers still 7.5 games up on the Cincinnati Reds. The Brewers with a short 2-game losing streak allowed the Reds to gain a game. A couple of games, actually. But St. Louis still sitting 12 back. The Reds now, by the way, as they continue to fight, they are a game up on San Diego for the wild card. Not that it really means a whole hill of beans to the Brewers, but that could be a team that you know, as they continue to plug away, offensively speaking, they are now plus 39. The Reds are in run differential, and they continue to plug away. The Dodgers by the way over the weekend. So I always talk about the run differential. And run differential, you get up over 100 runs. That's pretty significant throughout a season. Like the Houston Astros are plus 184. The Giants are plus 142. The Dodgers are 2.5 games behind San Francisco, and they are plus 204. That's a ginormous number to still be trailing in the division. In the meantime, I'm not going to say there's controversy. Wink. But all the money, the chips going to the middle of the table on Jordan Love, only to have Kurt Bankert come out and not play too bad. All of a sudden, I'm getting emails and tweets and stuff about, it's Bankert time. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here. I don't necessarily think it's Bankert time. But I do find it interesting that all of a sudden people are looking over that fence going, well, I think Kurt Bankert has outperformed Jordan Love, which he has to this point. And look what he did against the Jets, even though the Packers took a 23-14 loss. But Kurt Bankert in that game, 18-25, 151 yards, had a couple of scrambles, looked pretty good, only took 1 sack, had a pick, had a touchdown. Not a terrible quarterback rating. Killing Hill. 7 carries, 29 yards, muscled his way into the end zone on that 12-yard scamper, and averaged a little over 4 yards a carry. Opened some eyes. Dexter Williams, 8 carries, 22 yards for 2.8 yards per carry. He is now on the outside looking in, solidified. And then A.J. Dillon, 4 carries, 28 yards. So not a bad day. I will say this, all in all, it was not a clean performance for a team that emphasized tackling and special teams. And so it wasn't a clean performance by any stretch of the imagination. Not at all. You had back-to-back drives where the Jets went down and scored. 6 plays, 70 yards, 3 plays, 30 yards. After the Packers went touchdown, punt, touchdown. After that, it was punt, fumble, punt, interception. Then they turned it over on downs, then they punted the ball away, and then had it picked yet again. So the Packers started out looking okay, but after that, nothing. Wasn't the best of days for the Green Bay Packers offensively, and their defense in the meantime, even though their defense down the stretch when they got the ball early on in the second half, when the fumble on special teams and the Packers gave up the ball at their own 35. It wasn't on special teams, it was on an offensive play. And they gave the ball up at their own 35, and the Packers defense stiffened. They held them to a field goal. After that, they went 8 plays, 38 yards. Packers stiffened. They held them to a field goal, and after that was punt, and the end of the game. But I guess the biggest news coming out of the weekend was Kurt Bankert played pretty well, and Zadarius Smith has a lingering back injury that could keep him out of the first week of the season. And we're going to talk more about that. Coming up here in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk with the voice of the Green Bay Packers. Wayne Larrivee is going to join us. We'll talk with him about this. But you and I have not had a chance to really sit back, relax, and chat about this Packers contest this past weekend. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to get a hold of the program, 877-867-1670. Hit us up on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can also find us on the Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can follow us on YouTube and on Twitch. And boy, I tell you what, thanks to everybody that watches. I did a lot of driving over the weekend, did a lot of different things. And I don't know if you followed along on some of the different sites, but on Friday, we started picking up the donations for the Fisher House golf outing and the motorcycle ride, which both correspond within a week's time of one another. So I started driving around, and as I'm driving around, and then we ended up going to Summer Sounds up in Cedarburg on Friday night, and then over to a bar called Rebellion. And then on Saturday, we were out and about all over the place. I mean, Joe Mama's and Reef Point Bar up near Pike Lake and Slinger, and Smoke on the Water and Stoley's Hog Alley. And I can go on and on. I don't want to listen to them all, bore you. But I can't believe the amount of people, specifically in the Milwaukee area, but people that watch the show pretty continuously and really do enjoy it. I mean, there's must have ran into 15 people at least this weekend. And, oh, by the way, I want to do this. And you know what? Maybe I'll save that for the next hour. I think they listen in the next hour. But there is a couple of people in Green Bay that pay attention to the show. And I got to get this right. Doris and Loretta. They listen to the show every day. They watch it on YouTube. They live in Green Bay. They and their friends all the time. And Doris, your son, I ran into your son down at Irish Fest this past week and took a picture with him. And he said, my God, my mom, my sister, everybody listens to you every day in Milwaukee and Green Bay through the app and through YouTube, and said, love the show. So I just said, you know what? I would make sure I gave a shout out to his mom. His mom listens to the program. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. 877-867-1670. Your thoughts on the game this past weekend as to what the Packers did and more so didn't do. Missed tackles continue to be an issue. Now, I get it for those that are going crazy. You bet. Oh, it doesn't mean anything. It's preseason. You are correct. And the Baltimore Ravens, by the way, did you know the Baltimore Ravens are closing in on a record? I think they've won 19 straight preseason games. I think that's what I read. It was 16 or 19, but it's like, wow. So preseason really doesn't mean crap. It is a live scrimmage with fans and beer and brats and money, and let's see what this does. That's what it is. It is the opportunity for those to come into a system and shine and absorb it. It's also an opportunity for those that no one has ever heard of to make a name for themselves. And it's an opportunity to see what kind of depth you have on your team. That's what the preseason is all about. That's what the preseason is all about. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, here's one other note for you. When it comes to punting, J.K. Scott had a long of 51 and an average punt of 40 and one inside the 20. Wasn't the best of days special teams wise. Now, when it came to the net average, it was only like a half yard they were gaining. They were picking up on average because the longest return, there really wasn't many returns. They only had one of 2 yards. That was it. So J.K. Scott, not bad, but it was a short leg, if you will, on 4 punts. A short leg on 4 punts. And remember, the longest was 51. And then he shanked one. So not the best day. 877-867-1670. They have brought in punters before. Maybe they go out and try to find another one. I don't know. But J.K. Scott is a guy they drafted. So I don't think they're going to dump him anytime soon. J.K. Scott can be, he has throughout his career been hit or miss. And then he gets into a groove. It's kind of like the way I've described it as a golfer, that when you play golf and all of a sudden your driver's just on and it's money, you'll hit and a round of 18, you start hitting fairways and driving it 250 yards down the middle. You'll do it 5-6 holes, and everybody will be like, "Where'd you go buy your game? Come on, you don't do that." And that's the way it is for J.K. Scott. But when he starts punting bad, it's 1 out of 2 as to whether or not it's going to be good or not. Now the other question, and Andrew, you bring up a very legitimate point. So the Packers, I mean, we all know it's going to be Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. Jordan Love's not going anywhere. But should the Packers keep 3? And here's the reason why. I shouldn't say when, but when you need a backup quarterback, you need one that can help you sustain, right? You don't need him to be great. You're not going to find a backup quarterback that's Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to find that. But what you need is a quarterback that can keep you above water. That if you're going to go on a 3 or 4 game stint without Aaron Rodgers, you've got a quarterback that looks like a quarterback. You've got a quarterback that can keep you floating on top of the water. I don't know. I have no idea what Jordan Love can do. This has been the awful preseason for Jordan Love, and a shortened year in which you only get 3 games instead of 4. And you've got to make some kind of decision at the end of the season regarding your quarterback. And you're the guy that you pushed all the chips to the middle of the table on, and that's being Jordan Love, can't find the field. Man, this is like Gutekunst's worst nightmare. And then you've got a guy in Kurt Bankert who comes in and outperforms your guy, your first-round draft choice. And Banker's got nothing to lose. Maybe he's just letting it all hang out because he's hoping he just, has somebody grab some film on him and say, hey, this cat's got something. Because he didn't look too bad. But this is not, we will find out in the next couple of days if Jordan Love is going to be playing this coming weekend. The noon kickoff in Buffalo on Saturday. We'll find out. Because if he can't go, then what? The only thing you have, and you can't imagine he's going to get a lot of reps during the season, not with a not. Because Rodgers takes a majority of those. Like 95% of those. So the only thing you're going to have on him is game 1 if he can't go again. Oof. This is not the preseason that the Packers were hoping for. They were hoping Jordan Love would come in game 1, look okay. Game 2, light it up. Game 3, just look fantastic. And when it comes to Jordan Love, you were hoping for more Brett Favre than Brett Hundley. 877-867-1670. When we come back, let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk with the voice of the Green Bay Packers. Wayne Larrivee is going to join us, and we'll chat with him about what he sees so far this early preseason. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. We are glad you are with us. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. And now we trek northward, the voice of the Green Bay Packers. And correct me if I'm wrong, now, future Hall of Famer. Wayne, are you going into the Broadcasting Hall of Fame in the state of Wisconsin?
Yeah, as hard as that is to believe, it's going to happen, I guess. Later this week.
I was going to say that's at the because we will be broadcasting live at the WBAs up there on, I believe, Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. So what night are you being inducted and cast in bronze?
Thursday night.
Should be good then. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh,
congratulations. That's
anyway.
Awesome. How did they notify you? Did somebody nominate you, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think somebody nominates you and you go in, then they consider you and that type of thing. So, I don't know much about the process, and I was pretty surprised when I got a call, a year ago. And then, of course, COVID hit, and so everything was put on hold.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. So we'll see you up there on Thursday night for the dinner. Hopefully. Now, when you get like the Masters, the previous winner gets to pick the meal. So is that how this works, or is it just the chicken or steak for Wayne?
No, I have no say over anything in this process. So I don't even know what's on the menu.
Okay. Well, drinks, though, will be flowing, so I look forward to that. Wayne, give me your let's take a look at the quarterback position, because Bankert, I don't want to say opened a few eyes, but played pretty well. And this is not the preseason that Jordan Love wanted, to be sitting out of a game when there's only 3 contests. So give me your thoughts on all of this, because there's so many different opinions swirling around out there.
Yeah, Bankert is a guy that kind of caught people's eye in the OTAs and minicamp. They bring in this guy. They need extra quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers isn't around, so they bring in this Bankert kid. Nobody knows much about him, but he has a bit of a history in that he spent a couple of years in the Atlanta Falcons system. The thing that, my buddy at the Athletic, Matt Schneidman, was the first to really start saying on Twitter, and then he wrote it a little bit in the spring, said, hey, this Bankert guy, don't sleep on him. He throws a nice ball. And so I started watching him in the minicamp, and Matt was exactly right. He throws a very nice ball. And the thing that obviously he's a natural gunslinger, so he's going to fit the ball in, or try to, maybe in places where the coaches are uncomfortable with that. So they've tried to refine him as they've had him in camp and that type of thing. And I think the kid has taken to coaching very well. As you may or may not know, he's an internet sensation. He's a professional gamer. Ghost Gaming signed him to be a professional video game player. I didn't even know there was such a thing. But then again, I'm not the target demographic of anything. So, that this guy he's got a story. He knocked around the Atlanta Falcons for 2 years, got to know and was coached by the late Greg Knapp, who passed away tragically after an accident in California last month. And, he had a little bit of exposure, I think, to Matt LaFleur for maybe a season or half season down in Atlanta. And they like him. They like what he can bring to the party. It's not too big for him. He can make all the throws. Some throws they'd like him not to make, but that's the case with any young quarterback. He's got potential.
So going to the injury side of things, like I said, this is not the preseason Jordan Love wanted. How do you expect him to play this coming weekend, or are we just kind of waiting to see what happens in practice the next couple of days?
Yeah, and again, I'm just a fly on the wall. I think he will probably play this week. Missing last week was big, Bill, because you had the Jets in town. And I know the veterans got a lot of the work, but he would have gotten a lot of work in those practices against the Jets. And that for him would have been invaluable. And then, of course, missing the game was huge, too. But from what I understand, from what I can read through the tea leaves, I think he did some throwing last week. I think probably inside the Hudson Center. I didn't see him throw the football, but Matt said he did. And so I think this week they'll probably have him primed and ready to go. And he'll probably play at least 3 quarters, maybe 4 in Buffalo. We'll see how that goes. But nonetheless, they like what they saw him in the first preseason game. And they were hoping they can get a full week in with him. They didn't. We'll see what happens this week. And he should get 3 quarters at least of action if he's healthy against Buffalo this week.
I am always concerned when I hear the word back issue, and now we're hearing one regarding Zadarius Smith. We know he's had a knee in the past, but how concerned are you about the back issue that he's been dealing with?
Well, Bill, as any golfer would know, back issues, you just don't know. It can feel good one day and feel terrible the next. And that's the thing that I think concerns Matt LaFleur, concerns the personnel people at Lambeau Field, is that you just never know on a back issue with any kind of an athlete. So, there's some concern there. They're being cautious with it. They hope to have him ready to go by the season opener, but there are no guarantees. And, again, the problem with the back issue is that these issues are usually chronic, and you always have to be managing that issue. I know last year, Corey Linsley had a back problem. They had to manage and nurse throughout the season and into the playoffs. So we're hoping that Zadarius can get this thing put behind him, but back issues have a way of flaring up at the most inopportune times.
Has Kellen Hill, has he really kind of solidified himself as that third running back? Because I think he's ran incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I think he has, Bill, because there are a couple of things with Kellen Hill. He can play special teams and he can return kicks. That's a big factor. We haven't seen him get a great opportunity returning kicks yet, but he certainly has made good on the opportunities he's had in the offensive backfield. Little swing pass, 22 yards for a touchdown. And then in the drive, I thought they were going to just basically give to A.J. Dillon. They sneak in Kellen Hill at the end of that drive, and he makes a great run for a touchdown last week. So I think this kid has really solidified himself there. Now the battle will be, what will they do? Will they keep 3 running backs on the active roster or on the 53-man roster? Or will they keep 4 running backs on the 53-man roster, make one of them inactive on game day? That'll be the interesting thing to see, because I know they like these other 2 kids, Patrick Taylor, and I think Dexter Williams has shown pretty well when he's gotten an opportunity.
Well, you talk about active rosters. So is it 6 or 7 wideouts? You've got 3 slot receivers in Equanimeous St. Brown, Randall Cobb, and Amari Rogers, and we know Cobb and Rogers aren't going anywhere. I don't know if St. Brown is going to be long for this world at this point.
Yeah, and again, he's been dinged up a little bit. That's the hard part, that you don't know how that factors in, Bill. And I know they'd like to keep probably 6, and they'd like to get another one onto the practice squad. They feel great about the depth at wide receiver, but that's the big factor that you think about here. And you wonder what way they'll go. And then a lot of that, everybody's saying, well, what about the quarterback situation? They're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. Well, a lot of that depends on what they have strength-wise elsewhere on that football team. So those decisions come down to a numbers game, and we'll see how that plays out. But right now, I know the Packers feel very strong about the top 5. They have a wide receiver, and they feel they could go 6 and 7 deep if they needed to do that.
I'm talking with Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Green Bay Packers. The offensive line, we know David Bakhtiari is sooner rather than later, but still they're going to start the season without him. How do you feel about the depth on that line so far?
Well, what makes the line deep, in my opinion, is the versatility of these people they have on this offensive line. Nyman at left tackle has been kind of a quiet standout in the preseason. They like what he's been able to do. We saw Cole Van Lanen, the 6th-round draft choice out of Wisconsin, play a guard this past weekend. Obviously, Runyon, Newman have been guys. Lucas Patrick, you've been hearing about at the guard spots. They like the versatility. I know Lucas Patrick, everybody's kind of down on him right now, but the thing that I look at Lucas is he's versatile. He can play either guard spot. He can play center. I think he's one of these guys that people always look to replace. We can upgrade that spot, but in the end, he's usually a guy you just can't do without. And I think Patrick's going to make this football team. Will Royce Newman start at right guard ahead of Lucas Patrick? That's a possibility. But the fact is, what makes this line strong is its versatility of personnel. And so I think that's how they're going to be cutting down this line. The guys who can play multiple positions. Ben Braden's another guy that we've been watching him since the OTAs. He came in, and all of a sudden you say, who's this 64 guy out of Michigan? And it's Ben Braden, and he's shown up at guard. He's shown up at tackle. They like him as well.
Has there been other standouts, Wayne, that have kind of surprised you, or maybe the guys that you were expecting to play well are playing well? Guys like Stokes and Amari Rodgers, and you start to look in that direction to say, hey, you're not only looking for depth, but you're eventually looking for guys that are going to really come in and be contributors almost right away.
I think John Charles is a guy that we were thinking about going into training camp, and he and Eric Stokes, 2 guys who might play a role this year. I think they still might, but maybe things have tempered a little bit on them. I think that eventually Kevin King, once he gets back on the field, will start at right cornerback, and they'll work Stokes in there. John Charles is a guy that probably is going to take a little bit more time. I think Chandon Sullivan's going to play that slot position at the start of the season. Guys who've kind of caught our eye that maybe you weren't thinking about. I know the coaches like Henry Black. I know a lot of us have been thinking about this. Christian Uphoff, free agent, Illinois State, big safety, 6'3", about 210 pounds. He showed up on special teams this past weekend. He's a guy you might want to keep an eye on. KB Ento had a rough game on Saturday, but he's looked good in camp. They've really liked what he's done in camp throughout. So I don't think one bad moment, one bad game will change anything there. But he's a guy they feel good about, and they like. Whether he makes the team or not, we'll have to see. But those are guys that have shown up and have played pretty well. Oren Burks has played better than I thought he was going to in camp coming in. He's a guy that, he's been around. He knows this is a big-time shot for him. But I think Oren Burks and Ty Summers, their contributions on special teams will hold them in good stead. And yet they've shown they might be able to play a little bit in the defense as well.
Always great to talk with you, Wayne. I look forward to seeing your induction coming up on Thursday night, and then I'll say hi to you then, okay?
Well, now I'm going to be nervous knowing that you're going to be in the audience. What am I going to say up there?
I'm heckling the hell out of you, my friend. I'm heckling the
hell out of you. Yeah, I know. You're not going to be the only one. Get in line. All right, have a good one, pal.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, pal.
Take care.
There you go. That is the voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrivee, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline, and good to pick his brain and kind of get his thoughts on all of this. When we come back, our buddy Bill Huber covering the Green Bay Packers for Sports Illustrated, is going to join us. We'll touch base with him and get his thoughts as to what he saw this weekend. Don't forget today also, Kevin Holden, CBS 58. We'll touch base with him on the Packers and on the Brewers. Plus, we are going to talk with Mike Clemens in the last hour of the program. Eric Baranczyk of the Green Bay Press-Gazette is going to break down the film from what he saw on Saturday night. We got a lot yet to go. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports, let blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Thank you for calling Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. How may I help you?
Gina Della from Pella. You're answering the phones?
Absolutely. Now with the choice of 5 years, no interest, and 5 months, no first payment, or 10-year 2.99 APR financing, everyone on Team Pella Wisconsin is digging deep to make Wisconsin proud.
Bring home the gold, right?
Already have. According to a 2020 survey for leading national brands, Pella windows are rated #1 for highest value, highest quality, and most preferred by Green Bay and Milwaukee homeowners.
Talk about being at the top of the podium, but what's a head coach like you doing on the field?
Hey, on my team, everybody's suiting up to make sure no one's left out in the cold.
Well, it is still summer, you know.
And frosty fall air will be here before you know it. Set your free consultation today at PellaWI.com/radio or call 855-PELLA-WI.
Certain restrictions apply. See show for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Our friends at Quick Trip, they are the official fuel provider of the Big Unit Cruiser and our official convenience store of summer. So if you're a lot of grilling still to be done and a lot of enjoyment still to be had via tailgating and such. So make sure you stop in and check out our friends at Quick Trip, and make sure you use your Quick Rewards card, and you can still get registered for that not convertible, but the Corvette Stingray that they're giving away. And if you go in there and pick yourself up a Mountain Dew product, you get yourself some extra chances at that Corvette Stingray. So check that out as well over there with our friends at Quick Trip. Quick Trip, the official fuel provider and convenience store sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Joining us now on the line, our friend, SI, covers the Green Bay Packers up in Green Bay. Bill Huber's here. Bill, how you been, buddy?
I'm great. Hey, nobody needs to do the Quick Trip contest because I'm up to like 500 entries in that. So I'm going to win it. So just save your troubles and don't waste your time. I'm going to win it. Okay?
Rolling up in style to cover the Packers, and you'd probably have a better card than some of the rookies, man.
Well, Clemens has the Mustang.
Right.
So I'll have that. We'll be sweet.
Right. No doubt about it. You and Clemens do a little drag racing up there on Lombardi Avenue too. I can see that late at night.
Yeah, that's you probably have better ideas in your life.
Hey, let's get the overall first and foremost. Your thoughts on what you've seen the first couple of games. What's kind of stood out to you via the Packers so far this preseason?
Oh gosh, this preseason is just terrible, isn't it? It's just it's funny. You look forward to preseason games because training camp gets boring. Then the preseason games stink too. They're healthy, right? I mean, relatively so. I realize they do have some guys out, Zarius among them, but look at the Jets. Jets came in here and they had like 4 guys carted off and everything. The Packers are, as far as training camps go, they're in pretty good shape. So I guess that would stand out to me. I think the rookie class is pretty darn good. You hate to rush to judgment, obviously, on those guys, but there's some players there. Eric Stokes is getting better and better. Obviously, Josh Myers is going to start at center. Maybe the 4th round pick. Royce Newman might start at guard. TJ Slayton, their 5th round pick, is having a heck of a good training camp, and I just kind of go on and on. This is a good group of young guys, and they are healthy. So those are obviously positives here headed into the home stretch.
Yeah, this is not the preseason Jordan Love wanted to have, obviously. Do you expect him back this week?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, LaFleur seemed, cautiously optimistic yesterday when I asked him about it, that he thinks Jordan's going to do some throwing during individual drills today, and if all goes well, he'll practice on Tuesday. Clearly, this is a huge. I mean, it's huge not just for him, too, right? And this is huge for the Packers, where obviously they have no idea whatsoever if Aaron Rodgers is going to be their quarterback next year. And frankly, I'm not sure they want him back. I mean, they did draft Rodgers they did draft Love here for a reason. You got to find out about the guy, right? I mean, how in the heck, if you're the Packers, how in the heck do you decide what to do moving forward at quarterback if you have no idea about Jordan Love? So this is it's a huge week here to get him back for sure.
The Zadarius Smith injury, we had talked about it with Wayne Larrivee a little bit earlier. Obviously, back issues are tricky, so it is now, I guess, would be concerning.
Yeah. How many of us in the listening audience are, have back issues, right? You just never quite know. He practiced on Monday, and you think, okay, they're getting one of their big guys back, and then he didn't practice the rest of the week. So, yeah, clearly that's an issue. obviously with Preston Smith and with Sean Gary, their starter, they would feel quite the starting duo anyway, but there's no depth at that spot whatsoever other than the big three. And he's a game wrecker, right? He is one of their game changers. So that is obviously something to monitor, not just these next 3 weeks, but going forward.
The offensive line, I know on one hand, Matt LaFleur was not happy after game one. They've done some shuffling. They've moved guys around. Some guys have stepped up. Some guys have fallen by the wayside. Give me your thoughts on the depth of the offensive line.
Yeah, I think the offensive line is really good. I get what LaFleur's saying, and they didn't play good week one. I thought they played well the other day. This is a group with some really, really good depth. Once Bakhtiari gets back and Jenkins gets back in there, they signed a veteran right tackle who's, you can never have enough of those guys. That's the Packers in the NFC Championship game, right? What happens when you run out of linemen. So they're in pretty good shape there. I think Josh Nijman, officially he's in his third year. The young left tackle, he's had a good training camp and a good preseason. And that's a surprise. They're going to be fine at guard. If I had to throw 5 cents at, I would guess Ben Braden will be one starter and Royce Newman another. I think there's some legit upside with those guys. So I think the O-line's going to be really good, especially obviously once a certain all-pro left tackle gets back.
The defensive backfield, and this I won't get into the linebacking core, but I'll talk more about the defensive backfield. I think, if Kevin King is healthy, regardless of what you think about him in the NFC Championship game, and I know there's a lot of people down on him, I think this might be one of the deeper ones we've seen in a long time. Do you agree?
I do. Everybody knows, but at least with Stokes, they've got themselves covered. And I go back to what Jerry Gray talked about 2 weeks ago. It seems like what he would like to do would be the perfect world of Stokes can play, King can play, and then Jair Alexander becomes their slot guy. I think that's really what he wants to do. Obviously, depends on King being healthy and Stokes' development, but you got those guys. Sullivan, I think Sullivan is a bad rap. I think he's a lot better player than people give him credit for. I'm intrigued by the new guy Isaac Yiadom, who they acquired here last week. I thought he played pretty well for a guy who didn't know what he was doing on Saturday. I thought he acquitted himself pretty well. There's some potential long-term, I don't think, for this year so much, in Jean Charles. So, yeah, this is a deep group of cover guys, and, like we're talking about with O-line, you just can't have enough guys who can cover because, look at Tampa. They're loaded at receivers. A lot of teams loaded at receiver. It sure is nice to be able to have some options if a guy, Kevin King, gets hurt again. So, yeah, I think this has a chance to be a really good group if Stokes keeps progressing and King obviously stays healthy. And those are obviously two big ifs. We don't know. We don't know about rookies, and we don't know if Kevin King can.
The defensive front, Slayton, Kenny Clark obviously is a mainstay, but Slayton's there to kind of back him up. And then there's Lowry and Lancaster. Lowry did not perform real well last year. Lancaster's a work dog. We know that. Kingsley Kiki's looking to have another bounce up year, so to speak. Give me your thoughts about the trenches of the defense.
Yeah, I think Slayton is a real key to this thing. Lowry is who he is, right? He's not going to suddenly become an all-pro player. He is. Well, I would say he's having a good camp, but to expect him to all of a sudden be this, 6 sacks and 12 tackles for loss kind of man, that's just not going to happen. You assume Clark is going to bounce back. Kiki, my goodness, Kiki just destroyed it in the 2 practices in his brief appearance in the game against the Jets. He just kicked their tails. Mm-hmm. But Slayton is a big key to this thing. I really think so. Where look, Al Lancaster is who he is, right? But if you want to play better run defense, you just got to your players have to play better. And again, Lowry's not going to play better. Lancaster's not going to play better. But TJ Slayton, that's where there's some upside. Obviously, he's going to make it happen. But anybody who's watched the 2 preseason games can see there's a lot of potential for a big guy. But the guy can move. He's just not some fat slug out there, who's going to go run stuff. He can play, and if you want to throw the ball against him, he's going to at least push the pocket some. I know that D-line coach Jerry Montgomery was pretty guarded about him yesterday, but I think they got to be really, really excited about the potential there with them.
Bill, always a pleasure, buddy. We appreciate it. If you win the car, I will be the flag dropper between you and Mike Clemens as you race down Lombardi Avenue, okay?
Get out of the way, everybody. I'm going to stomp him.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you. There you go. Bill Huber for Sports Illustrated, and he covers the Green Bay Packers on a daily basis as well. Don't forget, after the top of the hour, we've got all kinds of stuff coming up today. So we're going to be just flying all over the place. Eric Baranczyk is going to join us later on today. Kevin Holden is going to be here at noon today from CBS 58 in Milwaukee. We'll talk with him some Brewers and some Packers. So we got a lot coming up. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show. Fast first hour coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip is teaming up with your local Chevy dealers to award a new Silverado Trail Boss to one lucky Packers fan in the opening drive sweepstakes. Chevrolet sells more vehicles in Wisconsin than any other brand. To enter, stop by your local Quick Trip. Purchase any pothole frozen pizza, the official frozen pizza of Lambeau Field, with your rewards card, and you're entered. If selected, you'll win cash, plus entry into the year-end drawing to win a brand new Silverado Trail Boss. No purchase necessary. Chevrolet and Quick Trip, proud partners of Packers football.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers are back at practice after losing to the Jets 23-14. Kurt Benkert got the start at quarterback in for Jordan Love. Benkert threw for 151 yards, 1 touchdown, a quarterback rating of 83.9.
There's nuances of the offense that show up that they don't really come up unless you go through it and you make that mistake, or like, hey, we actually want you to get a little wider on this path. If you're not getting the reps and messing it up, then you don't really know to fix it.
Running back Kylan Hill, who scored a touchdown, asked how Benkert was in the huddle.
Kirk, he came in with the confidence. He handled the huddle very poised, very commanding.
Wide receiver Malik Taylor led with 4 catches.
I think it went pretty well. I feel like I built a pretty good relationship with Kirk. You know, I feel like on third down, if I'm pressed up, I feel like he's going to come to me.
On defense, rookie nose tackle TJ Slayton had another good day with 4 combined tackles and his first NFL sack.
I was just trying to rush hard, and I just seen myself come free, and I seen him sitting there, stuck my arm out, and it was kind of like a clothesline. It was mind-blowing for me because, you know, I got my first sack in the NFL. Even though it is preseason, it's still the first one.
A Packers outside linebacker Zadarius Smith has been dealing with a back injury, has only practiced 1 day during camp. Matt LaFleur says he's concerned he could miss the season opener against the Saints.
I'm not quite sure when we'll get Z back. He's injured right now. It definitely is a concern.
Is it something that threatens week 1 with him?
It could potentially.
Packers GM Brian Gutekunst.
You know, obviously he's working through something right now, and I'm hopeful that's not the case as far as missing game 1, but
it's not contract related then?
No.
That's Brian Gutekunst. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program on this Monday, the 23rd of August. I can't believe we're closing in. Can't believe we're going to close in on September already. You know what I saw, and maybe I said this on Friday, but over the weekend, I got up. It might have been Saturday that this actually happened, so maybe I didn't talk about it. But I got up on Saturday. I'm 99% sure it was Saturday. Got up, and I was outside. I was moving some things around, and I was going to take the motorcycle out of the garage. And I'm just kind of cleaning up. I got some people coming to town this coming weekend, and I'm just trying to get some things straightened up around the house. And I looked up, and all of these yellow leaves are coming out of my ash tree. The leaves are already starting to fall. And don't get me wrong. I love Christmas. I love snow around Christmas time. I'm all in favor for, Thanksgiving and decorating, and, the house gets completely decorated top to bottom. And I'm into all of that stuff. But I love summer. I love being on the motorcycle. I love boating and golfing and being on the tiki bar outside and all of that. And I'm not ready for, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because last year we just kind of felt kind of robbed because of COVID. But I just feel like this summer has flown by. And I haven't even had a chance to get out and enjoy it the way I wanted. Even though I've done a lot, I mean, don't get me wrong. I started to go back through things in my head, and it looks like every weekend there's been out doing something. But my goodness, I'm just not ready for that yet. So anyway, that's just kind of waxing out loud, so to speak. Rick says, when is Eric Baranczyk going to be on? Eric Baranczyk, by the way, coming up after the top of the hour. Right after the top of the hour. Kevin Holden after the noon hour. Mike Clemens in the 1 o'clock hour. So we got you covered top to bottom for the next 3 hours of the day. Good stuff there. 877-867-1670. Hey, the prize package for those pre-registered. Now, we want you to ride for the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 5th. And that benefits Fisher House, Wisconsin. It benefits military members, veterans, and their families. So, and not to mention, it's just a great ride. It always has been. We take a lot of pride in the route. We get a lot of cooperation from the police and their help with us. So, I mean, it's a really cool ride to begin with. Plus the after party. The after party at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson, the bands have been confirmed. We have Hairbangers Ball on the north stage and Rebel Grace on the south stage. We got them both going almost at the same time for our after party. I mean, come on. It doesn't get much better than that. But the pre-registration prize over the weekend, so many people heard about it and said, can we donate? So Hollywood's Roadhouse, Stenny's Tavern, 5 o'clock Steakhouse, which is one of the best steakhouses. That's where Charles Barkley and everybody goes when they come to Milwaukee. Calderon Club, both north in Fox Point and downtown, have donated. Reef Point Resort up on Pike Lake donated a whole day of a pontoon just to go out on the lake and hang out and have a good time. Usable this year or next year. We've got tickets to Road America, tickets to a Badger game. And we've also got Admirals tickets. We're working on some other things as well. And we got a resort stay up north at our friends at Pine Mountain Resort that comes with some of the amenities. I mean, the whole package continues to grow. We're over $1,450, and it's only for those who pre-register for the motorcycle ride. So you can go to simply FisherHouseWI.org and the events page, FisherHouseWI.org and the events page. And then as you scroll down the events page, you're going to see the motorcycle ride right there. And all you got to do is click on it. Just click on it, and then it'll come down to the bottom, and it'll say, pre-register. And you can do that over the Eventbrite page. And it's $25 per bike, per rider. And it's a great time. It's a lot of fun. But only one person that pre-registers will win the prize package for those who pre-register. And last year was our record year with 162 pre-registers. So it's probably going to be 1 in 160 to 200 chance to win this thing. So get pre-registered. Good stuff. More of the Bill Michaels Show. Eric Baranczyk breaking down the film next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Yesterday afternoon saw the Milwaukee Brewers win their series against the Washington Nationals at American Family Field 7-3. Brewers would see the return of Adrian. He would last 3 1/3 innings, giving up 3 hits and an earned run. After that, the Brewers bullpen would take it from there, including Josh Hader getting his 26th save of the season. The Crew's offense was the star, though. Colton Wong would go 4 for 2 with 3 RBIs, hitting a home run in the first inning and a triple in the fourth, while Lorenzo Cain would hit his 5th home run of the year in the 7th. Milwaukee has tonight off. They'll get back in action tomorrow when they host the Cincinnati Reds, who the Brewers are currently up by 7.5 games for first place in the NL Central.
From the kennel to coop, whatever the season, Fleet Farm has everything to keep your animals happy and healthy. From training your pup to sit season to mastering those retrieval skill season. From clipping horse for competition season to keeping the backyard birds well-fed season. And of course, loving your pets like family season. There's a reason people say, if Fleet Farm doesn't have it, you don't need it. Because we have it all. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
Saturday saw 32 players sit out for the Green Bay Packers as they welcome in the New York Jets for preseason game number 2, in which Green Bay fell 23-14. Here's more from the Packers head coach, Matt LaFleur.
It was a great look at a lot of our younger players for some of their starters, and I thought our guys went out there, competed hard, but we made way too many mistakes to win the football game, and we're always trying to win here.
The Packers must trim their roster from 90 to 85 by Tuesday afternoon, and Saturday they'll travel to Buffalo for their final preseason game for both teams. Kickoff on the 28th will be at noon. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show on this Monday. A lot of Packers chatter today after the game on Saturday evening. Packers lose the second contest of this preseason. Some good things came out of it. Obviously, Kurt Benkert looked pretty good. You've got Kylan Hill continues to run very solid and looks as if he solidified himself for that third spot in the running back core. You still have too many missed tackles. You still have special teams that aren't too special. And you've got some other, issues, obviously. But then again, you don't have a lot of starters playing. what you're looking for is really solid depth. And right now, the depth of other teams has beaten the depth of the Green Bay Packers. And that can be a little bit concerning. But overall, I'm not concerned about the outcome of these ball games as of right now. 877-867-1670. We'll be talking with Eric Baranczyk of the Green Bay Press-Gazette coming up here momentarily as we look back on Saturday night's contest. But I guess a couple of areas of concern. One, will Jordan Love be able to get back on the field this week? And two, the back issue. I want to say issue, not necessarily an injury, but the back issue that is plaguing right now Zadarius Smith. That's something that you look at and you think it could be somewhat problematic for anybody that's in any kind of a back problem, as Wayne Larrivee alluded to a little bit earlier. That can be something that hinders you throughout a season. It's kind of like a hamstring, especially if it's muscular. That can hinder you throughout a season. So somewhat concerning there. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Mark says, what do you think the Packers are going to do if you do not have any more out of Jordan Love this preseason? I don't know. I mean, unless Jordan Love is doing a lot behind the scenes, what do you do? He hasn't shown you anything. What do you do? And especially if Jordan Love doesn't play and Aaron Rodgers looks fantastic. Then what do you do? You know? 877-867-1670. This one's from Jason, who says, did you see Justin Fields get leveled this past weekend? I did. In the Buffalo game, holy mackerel. The Bills trounced the Bears in that one. Just beat them up. Andy Dalton had a touchdown, had a pick, 140-something yards. But then Justin Fields, 9 of 19, 80 yards, 46 yards he gained on the ground. But he got leveled. I mean, leveled to the point where his helmet popped off. His headband that he wore under his helmet went shooting off. I mean, oh my goodness, he got I don't mean to laugh, but he got leveled. And the Chicago fan, I mean, Andy Dalton looked okay, but Andy Dalton looked like Andy Dalton. All of his numbers were better except for the interception. And then fans at Soldier Field began chanting for Fields, for Justin Fields over Andy Dalton. They think Justin Fields is going to be the next coming. And I'll tell you this. Again, for those that listen to the program and know me, I think Justin Fields is good. I don't know how good. I don't know. I think he's got that long looping motion. Now, he has gotten quicker. If you've watched him in the first couple of preseason games, he doesn't have that big looping motion. It's a little more snap to it when it comes to delivering the football, which if he can develop a quick release, quicker than what he had at Ohio State, he might not be bad because we all know what his running capability is. So he could be good for a period of time, 3, 4, 5 years, but running quarterbacks don't necessarily last in the NFL as we've seen. I mean, Cam Newton took his team to a Super Bowl, never returned, and has been a shell of himself ever since. You look at Lamar Jackson, played extremely well, won an MVP, comes back, doesn't do much, gets beat up. Those guys take a lot of hits when all they want to do is run. So Justin Fields is going to have to be really smart about things and not take nearly as many hits and learn how to kind of take indirect hits if he is going to run. But hey, y'all, there's a new sheriff in town, and it's Justin Fields. And I don't know if he's going to get the start on day one or if Andy Dalton's going to be the guy, but they certainly are banking on him to be good. And if he can give him anything, If Justin Fields can give him anything with the decent defense that they have, they're going to win a few games. The one thing that Justin Fields needs to understand is there was a couple of passes that he delivered that kind of put his guys in harm's way. This is not the Big Ten. You can't just throw guys into a circle and they're going to get hit by a guy out of Indiana or a guy out of Nebraska that's, just trying to go to school. These are guys that are all getting paid. They're going to get some of your receivers and tight ends killed. So Justin Fields is going to have to learn that too. Brett says running quarterbacks have been schemed over the last several years. The old clapper snap Fields is going to meet his maker in the regular season this year. That's my point, is those guys don't last. Rick says he's an RG3 2.0. That's a great comparison. By the way, I just saw Robert Griffin III on, what was it? What show was it? Fixer Upper. He's on Fixer Upper. Now they're from like down near Baylor, down in Texas. But RG3 was on one of the Fixer Upper episodes that was scrolling across the screen this past weekend. That's just a side note. Speaking of RG3, 877-867-1670. We're going to continue to try to get Eric Baranczyk on the line. He is out running errands right now, so we'll touch base with him. Mark says, hey, Bill, I don't think Justin Fields is going to be too good his first couple of years. Look for him in year 3 to be really good. By then, either Matt Nagy is going to ruin him or he will be stellar. I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he is going to be one of the best Bears quarterbacks ever. I don't think that's really hard to do, right? I don't think that's terrible for him if he becomes the best quarterback in Bear history. It's they have not had a run of great quarterbacks. If you want to become the best quarterback in Packers history, that's a tough thing to do. You've got some really good quarterbacks. You've got numbers out of Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, hell, even Lynn Dickey. But the Bears, they don't have a history of great quarterback play. They've got a history of more really solid defense and a quarterback that can just come in and fill the bill in the meantime. Wisconsin Center says, doesn't matter who they start, the Bears still suck. Matt Nagy, by the way, has said over and over again that Andy Dalton's going to be the starter. And Andy Dalton did not look great. I mean, then again, Andy Dalton was running for his life most of the day, if you watched that game this past weekend. 877-867-1670. This is from Tim. Tim says, hey, Bill, not the best performance out of the Packers backups over the last couple of weeks. Your thoughts on how deep this team actually is? Well, that's what we were discussing. When you start to look at the depth, there's some areas where you think it's pretty good. You look at a guy like John Runyon, Jake Hansen, Ben Braden, who we were talking about a little while ago, Royce Newman, the 4th-round draft choice, Cole Van Lannon. These guys are guys that, you think you got a decent depth on the offensive line, even though Matt LaFleur, after the first preseason game, was not happy, shook things up a little bit. So I think the depth of this team is okay. Defensively speaking, Slayton, Heflin, Kingsley, Kiki, Lowry and Lancaster still, they got to step up. They got to do something bigger than what they did last year. Dean Lowry specifically after signing the contract. Kenny Clark is Kenny Clark. We all know that. You hope that when you look at a guy like between Za'Darius and Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, those 3 guys on rotation, they've been pretty good. And even if Za'Darius Smith can't go right away because of that back issue, you got enough faith now in Rashawn Gary that he can add pressure. He doesn't have a great move. It's not like he's got a great big underneath power hammer move or anything like that. He's just a bull rusher, but he's learned over the last couple of years he can kind of fill it up. Let's do this. Let's go north real quick. Got our buddy Mike Clemens standing by. Michael, how you doing, pal?
Oh, good. I got a call from the assistant coach that Baranczyk is questionable right now. Can you come in here, take over the next drive? And so, yeah, no problem. Sure, let's go, man. You know, it's training camp, and you got to be ready to go, man. You got to have your chin strap ready.
Let me ask you this. So coming out of that game on Saturday night, all the talk was about Bankert, who played pretty well. Not great, but just played pretty well. He opened more than a few eyes. Do all of a sudden we look at some type of because I don't think there's a quarterback controversy at all. It's Aaron Rodgers, then Jordan Love, then Bankert. But what do they do as far as the active roster goes?
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers brought this up last week. Like, are they going to keep 3 quarterbacks? Because, you're sitting in a week with Jordan Love with a shoulder strain, inexperienced. Now you're going to miss, the second preseason game and miss the whole week of joint practices. You need a backup. And so do you hang on to this Kurt Benkert, who was with the Falcons for 2 or 3 years and seen a little bit more of the NFL. And so the guy showed a little bit of a live arm when he got in against the Texans. Then he played, almost all the game the other day. Had some ebb and flow, but I'm just looking at this tape where it's early in the game, and they're about at the Jets 30, and he takes like a 7-step drop, and A.J. Dillon is supposed to block number 91, John Franklin Myers, big defensive lineman for the Jets, and the guy shreds A.J. Dillon. So now there's number 7 kind of rolling out like Don Majkowski, Magic all those years ago, rolling out on the run, and then he flips one downfield and finds, Malik Taylor down there by the sideline. I mean, that is sweet. And that's the stuff you can't see in practice usually. It's game-like conditions. This guy is breathing down your neck, about to wrap up and take you down, and this kid kept his cool. And, this Benkert kid, he's smart. I think he picks it up quickly. I think he told me something very interesting after the game Saturday night. He said, I learned by mistakes. You can study the playbook, and you can watch the mental reps of Aaron and Jordan. But it's not until you actually do the play that will come up. Luke gets it. Say, no, you're supposed to fake this way, then turn that way, that you don't see in the film, that you don't see in the playbook. And so it might be the first time you're running that play, second time, whether it's in practice or in a game, that's those kinds of critiques makes you a better quarterback. And so, just when you thought you wanted to keep 6 or 7 of these very talented wide receivers, or you might need to keep an extra guy or 2 on secondary to help you with your special teams to find like that gunner position, this Kabian Ento guy we've talked about, or Innis Gaines, another safety. Benkert made a pretty good case that you might have to hold on to 3 quarterbacks on the roster, because this guy will get picked up if he's on practice squad, just like Taysom Hill.
The secondary, Mike, we know they're deep. We saw some, inept tackling over the weekend. Special teams weren't great. The depth on the line up front will be a little bit lacking. Was it Darius Smith's injury, depending on what happens with him. But overall, we haven't seen a lot of starters. So what have we drawn defensively out of the first couple of preseason games?
They rested 32 starters Saturday night. Now, 5 of those guys are like injury, like this Vernon Scott, second-year safety that, had some good snaps against the Texans, got some playing time at the end of last season. Now, he's dealing with an injury, but he should be back, if not for this Bills game, available to make the roster and be one of the guys on special teams or a backup against the Saints. But, all these starters that aren't playing, it just completely changes the identity of the team. I think, though, what these guys are doing, Bill, is they've had, Brian Gutekunst and all these NFL general managers, they've had to adapt to COVID and that protocol. They've had to adapt to an updated or adjusted CBA agreement. Like, you can't have a player in more than 11 hours a day in this training camp. So now you have to really be careful about how you spend your time on the practice field. LaFleur will come up with things like, okay, all right, we don't want to have him out the field too long because it takes away from class time. I know. We'll have first-team offense over first-team defense over here, and second and third-team offense and defense over there. So you've got scrimmage going on simultaneously. And then the coaches will just have to work harder and longer when it comes to their office time to review the tape of all of those players. Same thing with the scouting department as well. So, training camp is it's changing so much. I don't think they're going to go back to the St. Norbert dorm. There'll never be two-a-days again. And technically, training camp is already over for the Packers. I mean, LaFleur talked about this week. He thought he might make it the regular season schedule, which also means it limits my access to seeing an entire practice rather than but then he thought, why am I game planning against Buffalo? So he changed his mind, put out a schedule late last night to change that. So we're going to have a practice today and tomorrow. But the bottom line is that Gutekunst he's going to see all these second, third, and fourth string guys in the games, and LaFleur has to get his first team ready for the Saints during the week at practice. And, when I saw A.J. Dillon running outside, carrying 4 or 5 guys on his back into the red zone, but then one dude's wrapped around his ankle, and you hold your breath like, oh my, you've got 3 guys on your back and 1 guy on your ankle. That's the next thing you hear is snap. And fortunately, he popped up after that play. But that's just a reminder, like, what is this guy doing in a meaningless game? Save that for when the Bullets are live.
Mike, let's do this. You got time to hang around for a little bit more?
I do, and we got a press conference coming up here afternoon. But let's recap what happened over the weekend.
Yeah,
buddy.
let's do that. Stay tuned. We got more with Mike Clemens joining us live in Green Bay coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
In the backfield, Taylor. 3rd down and 5 to the sideline, and caught by Taylor. What a grab, Malik Taylor. Makes the catch inside the 15 to the Jet 14-yard line.
I knew Kurt was going to fling it to me. That's why I didn't stop. I just kept running full speed and just being out there to play fast. And, when you connect, that confidence builds and, it's fun out there.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. We are joined by Mike Clemens, our guy in Green Bay. And Mike is brought to you by the Bay Motel. Bay Motel in Green Bay. Clean, quiet, cozy, comfortable. Great for a family stay as well. And don't forget our friends in Green Bay by simply going to baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Again, baymotelgreenbay.com. So, Mike, we had mentioned just a little bit the defense overall, but Zadarius Smith with the back issue. That anytime you get a back issue, that thing can linger depending on how severe it is. So what is the level of concern right now regarding Zadarius Smith?
Hi. And you know what? You and I talked about this on Friday's show. Like, okay, enough of the Jordan Love story. Aaron Rodgers is here. Aaron Jones, he's been 50-50 with a hamstring injury. He's going to play. You got Devontae Adams. You got this, you got some questions in offensive line. It's about defense. This team needs to improve on defense. And when you talk, I asked Dennis Kelly this, the veteran right tackle that they brought in from the Titans. I said, by the way, when you guys with Tennessee played the Packers here in the snow last December, what was it like preparing for Mike Pettine's defense? And the first words out of his mouth was Zadarius Smith. They pretty much Tennessee built their offensive game plan around where was Zadarius Smith on the field. Now, he's been standing on the sidelines this entire camp. We heard it was a back, and he went out there for some drills a week ago today, and then apparently it was a setback. So now, you're closing in on the final preseason game and then 2 weeks to get ready to go to New Orleans and take on the Saints. And so Matt LaFleur was asked directly last night, where's Zadarius Smith with this back injury? Are you concerned about him being ready for week 1 of the season?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not quite sure when we'll get Z back. He's injured right now, so he can't. I know he wants to be out there, but we're going to be smart with him. He's obviously a big time player for us. It definitely is a concern.
Is it something that threatens week 1 with him? Could he possibly miss week 1?
It could potentially.
That's a pretty loud statement. I mean, obviously, like he said, he wants to be out there, but you wonder what the severity is. Is it a muscular thing? Is it a disc thing? I mean, we don't really specifically know, do we, Mike?
No, and it's kind of weird, the spending the week here with the Jets. I mean, they cart a guy like Carl Lawson, their great defensive end, off the field, and they're Robert Saleh's practically putting up the x-rays of the ruptured Achilles up there. I mean, right. Within an hour or two after the injury, they're giving the details. That ain't the way it rolls here in Green Bay, in the land of Ted Thompson and now Brian Gutekunst. And so, we're talking to Goody about this and saying, hey, listen, Matt just told us he's got concerns now about when you go up against Alvin Kamara and company and the Saints running game, you may not have Zadarius out there. Is this, in fact, a back injury?
Oh, yeah, he's working. Obviously, he's working through something right now, and I'm hopeful that's not the case as far as missing game 1. But what he's dealing with is a little, day to day.
It's not contract related, then?
No.
Well, at least we know it's not contract. It's almost like you wish it was contract related. So then you could just say, okay, once he gets whatever it is worked out, he's back and he's 100%. But that's not the case, unfortunately, and that's concerning. Only for the fact, Mike, and I said this earlier. Much like a hamstring, a back injury is something that lingers, and it doesn't go away. It actually just flares up, and that's when even Wayne Larrivee mentioned it in the first hour. That's something then you have to now look at and manage throughout the entire season.
Exactly. I mean, man, it's tackle football. It's being one of those linebackers got to be one of the worst guys to have to deal with this, and so people are saying, what are you guys asking about contract? Didn't he just take a restructured deal in March when they were trying to push money together for the salary cap to bring back running back Aaron Jones? Correct. But coming into camp, there was one little wisp out there that Zadarius might not be happy the way that all turned out. So, Brian Gutekunst was asked again about, he was restructured in March. Are you sure that this is not a contract issue for Zadarius Smith?
No, like I said, we worked through something earlier to kind of move money around and stuff, earlier, like right at the beginning of training camp, I believe. So, listen, I don't really talk about details of contracts, but with this specific thing, I mean, he's got an injury that we're working through. So
they redid the deal before the start of camp. How about that?
Yeah. I'm excited about that, but I still am more concerned about the back, I guess, than anything when it comes to Zadarius. Hey, Mike, real quick, because we only got a couple minutes here before the bottom of the hour, but I wanted to ask you, I know Aaron alluded to the fact of having 5 guys that are solid wide receivers. We've got now Jordan Love, who we're not quite sure what's going to happen this week and going into the game, so you would assume they're going to try to keep 3 quarterbacks. What is if you had to start looking at this roster, because they got to cut now. If you're going to look at this roster, how's this thing going to start projecting out, do you feel?
I think Devontae Adams and MVS are good. I wonder if Malik Taylor, if he pushes out Kumaro last year, could he push out Alan Lazard? Devin Funchess is slashed, but I've told you all through the spring and now in this camp, he keeps on dealing with this hamstring issue that has him missing time. So, even as deep as they are and as talented they are, and this Juan Winfrey, he was really flashing until he went out with an injury. There's 3 or 4 guys that are all there on the bubble that are going to make it really interesting heading into the Bills game and heading into the final cutdowns. They got to cut another 5 guys out of here tomorrow afternoon as well. But that's the way it looks right now. It's not like there's some new information there like some other guys started to flash in the last week or two. Those are the guys in the mix of a 5 or 6 deep wide receiver meeting room.
Mike, before I let you go, I also wanted to ask you the running back position. Now, we saw Hill run extremely well. We know A.J. Dillon's in the mix. We know it's Aaron Jones as well. That leaves Dexter Williams on the outside looking in, and that's a guy that's been around for a while.
Dexter had some nice power runs in the game. He's described as a hard worker. I thought Taylor might emerge. He had a couple of good runs, but then he was the targeted guy on the interception of Benkert, and LaFleur told me no, Benkert, that was a little bit of an accuracy thing. It wasn't that bad of a route from Taylor. He could have been a little bit more shallow, and then Patrick ended up getting the ball stripped and losing it. I had a fumble in that game too, so he come in 50-50 in these games. But guy hasn't played football in a year and a half as well, but he could be a powerful guy, almost like another A.J. Dillon in the backfield. But it doesn't look like he's going to earn the kick returner job. Colin Hill just looks sharp, determined. Frankly, he reminds me a lot of Aaron Jones when he came in his rookie year so far.
Great stuff as always, Mike. By the way, Bill Huber says that he is going to win the Quick Trip Corvette Stingray and then wants to drag race you on Lombardi Avenue in your Mustang convertible.
It's on. Bring it. I know he's got the 4x4 truck, but I'm going to go to the Quick Trip, load up on the gas, and get an extra long brat, and I'll take him anytime.
There you
anytime.
Go. That's excellent. Good stuff. Mike, appreciate it, pal. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go. Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes, and great to get caught up with him. So that is your Packers fix. How much more Packers do you need? We have gone in-depth into depth, special teams, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, injuries. We got it covered. Great stuff. Hang in there. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. 877-867-1670 is the number you want to hit us up with. 877-867-1670. And if you want to give us a shout there, you can. Otherwise, you can hit us up on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. What else we got? Weird stuff here. If you had to pick any NFL player, currently or past, who you think would run for president, I don't care. There's a lot of smart people in this world, but I don't necessarily get into the politics of things when it comes to their political views. I try to avoid that best I can. 877-867-1670. There's from Scott. Scott says, hey, Bill, a couple of things. Yelich starting to get off the schneid. I'm excited. And then he goes on to say, Kurt Benkert looked really good. Do you think that he is going to make this roster? I'd hate to see him go. I do. And unless Jordan Love comes back this week and just lights it up, I think you have to keep Benkert around, right? I think you have to. I don't think you can, again, I don't think you can afford, let's just say there's an injury in this season to Aaron Rodgers that's 2, 3, 4 games. I don't think you can afford to just say, we'll take our chance. I think you pretty much, you got to know what you have. And right now, unless there's things going on behind closed doors that Jordan Love is just lighting the world on fire, I don't think you can just guarantee that Jordan Love's the guy. He's the guy because of his status. He's walking around with a birthright, if you will. He is the guy that was traded up for in the first round. He is the guy that was chosen to be the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers. He's the guy that's making the money. So he's got the birthright to the backup spot. But let's be honest. I mean, let's say you're game 12 into the season. Okay? Let's say Aaron Rodgers, you're game 10, 11, 12 in. And you need a stretch where you got to go at the end of November into Minnesota. And then you got the Rams coming to town. And then you got the Bears on Sunday Night Football. You know, you got that kind of run. You know, you got 3-4 games, maybe Seattle the week ahead of time or the Ravens after that. You've got that run. Well, you're going to need a guy, right? If you come out, say, against the Vikings, a divisional game, let's just say I'm not going to say that the Packers are only up a game or tied with the Vikings for the top spot in the division, but let's say you're only a game or two up, and you need to get a win. And Jordan Love comes out in the first half of that game and stinks it up. Do you stay with him? If you know Benkert is sitting there and has performed pretty well in the preseason? Or do you throw Benkert in and say, go get it and may the best man win? And then Benkert performs better. And then the next week, do you go back to Love and start him against a really good defense that is the LA Rams? I think you have to have him on the roster because I don't think you know what you have yet in Jordan Love. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Good, but it's a great question. I think it's a legitimate question. Frank says, I think that the Green Bay Packers are doomed without Rodgers. It doesn't really matter. Let Jordan Love get all the reps. But if you know that you have a special season going, right? If you know on September 12th, Rodgers comes out and lights it up against New Orleans, then against the Lions, then against the 49ers. Say the 49ers aren't that good. And they even though they put the band back together, they're just not what they were a few years back. And then you finally face the Steelers at home. Let's say you get that win. You get a win against Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. You get a win against either Andy Dalton or Justin Fields at the Bears. And all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of the Washington football team. You get off to a fast start. And then Rodgers goes down with an injury. You're not going to just say, I'm going to throw Jordan Love in regardless if he's not playing well. If you think that if Rodgers is only a 3 to 4 week tops of type of injury, you're not just throwing that away. You're not just going to say, well, we're going to run Jordan Love out there regardless. Sink or swim, Jordan. Talk to you later. You don't want to throw that season away because when Rodgers comes back, that if you can get a win or two over a 4-week period, he's pretty much sustained. And then you get into the really difficult part of your season. Kansas City, Seattle, the Minnesota, the Rams. You still would have Cleveland. Cleveland is expected to be good down the stretch. That's the Christmas Day game. The Vikings again before you finish your season with the Lions. I don't think you just concede that Jordan Love's a guy regardless. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Drinking Good Water says you have to throw Jordan Love in no matter what the situation. He needs the reps. But I'm not throwing, if I agree with you, he's going to get the nod. But if he looks bad, you can't just keep running him out there and hope that things get better. You can't concede games, much like they did when Rodgers went down some years back when they were running out there the likes of Seneca Wallace. You can't do that because then you just watch the season go by the wayside. 877-867-1670. And you're right, by the way, over the weekend, started to see Christian Yelich starting to bust out. Good to see. I'm excited. I think we're all excited for it, even though they're only 7.5 games up on Cincinnati. And I say that in the sense of, losing a couple back-to-back before getting 2 out of 3 over the weekend against the Nationals. Seeing Kolten Wong's hitting the hell out of the ball since he came back. Christian Yelich, obviously 2 for 5 yesterday. He's got the average up around 250. But Kolten Wong went yard. Lorenzo Cain went yard. It's good to see the power numbers starting to come back. A good weekend overall for Yelich. Look, if things start trending in that direction, holy smoke them if you got him, Batman. That's fantastic. So I'm if things continue in that direction because the Brewers will be, and especially with that 9-6 win the other night with Christian Yelich going 3 for 5, hitting 2 of them. He's got 2 now. He's got 8 so far this season, and 2 of them over the weekend. He was stuck at 6 for the longest time. He hit one in the first inning, and then another one in that, what was it? I think it was the 8th inning when Guerra was out there. Hit the grand salami, the big bomb. And that's the kind of big moment stuff we're starting to look for out of Christian Yelich. So good weekend for Christian Yelich. Yeah, boy. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Jim is in La Crosse. We'll talk to him when we come back. Jim, hang in there. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers head into their final week of camp after losing to the Jets 23-14 here at Lambeau Field. Up next, they head to Buffalo to play the Bills. Linebacker Zadarius Smith has not participated in camp due to a back injury. Last Monday, he did some drills and had a setback. When will Zadarius be ready? Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not quite sure when we'll get Z back.
Is it something that threatens week one with him? Could he possibly miss week one?
It could potentially.
Zadarius Smith, one of several players who had his contract restructured in March before free agency. Is this contract related? Brian Gutekunst.
Like I said, we worked through something earlier to kind of move money around and stuff, earlier, like right at the beginning of training camp, I believe. I don't really talk about details with contracts, but with this specific thing, I mean, he's got an injury that we're working through.
Another linebacker, Rashawn Gary, has been in and out with a groin injury. Outside linebacker coach Mike Smith.
I think, Rashawn was going through the same thing. They just want to be out there, and they just want to get reps and they want to do it. And it wasn't really that time yet for him to start getting reps. He's eager to get out there, and that's what you want.
The Packers were up and down on special teams against the Jets. They gave up a 73-yard kickoff return, but Green Bay's Reggie Begelton had a 28-yard punt return that was encouraging. New special teams coordinator Mo Drayton.
He was able to make a few people miss and carried a few people with him. And if you go look at the shot of the sideline to watch his teammates be happy for him, that was really, really fun to watch. I can't wait to watch it with the guys and talk about those positives.
From training camp in Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show on this Monday, August 23rd. Hey, I want to remind you that we've got a lot of good people that sponsor the program, and I would be remiss if I did not mention them. Our friends at New Male Medical, the original at treating guys with ED. Others have come along, but there's only one. There's only one original. That's New Male Medical Center. The medical experts are helping guys with ED every damn day. They have a 98% success rate, all but guaranteeing the fact that they can help you out. And when it comes to low energy, brain fog, feeling sluggish, moody, up and down, all that kind of stuff, could be some low T. They can help you out with that. Then there's the all-in-one weight loss program, and that is for those that have put on the COVID weight, if you will. And it really does work. I've always said, just give them a call. They have locations all over. And it's one phone number for all the locations, 414-455-4451. Tell them we sent you. 414-455-4451. I just had a friend of mine start the all-in-one weight loss program. Said, Bill, far too many bar foods and such over the last 3-4 months. He wanted to shed 10 pounds. He went there and said, it's a really enlightening plan. And I said, I told you so. So he's in the first week, I think he said he lost like 3 pounds and was doing pretty well. 414-455-4451. Give him a call. All right, let's go to Jim listening to us in La Crosse. Jim, welcome to the program, man. What's happening?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Bill.
You bet.
I appreciate your show. And I was to the ball game Saturday, Packer game. One watching individual players play. I like doing that. And Bankert was out there with maybe one or two offensive linemen that might make the team.
Right.
And maybe one or two wide receivers that might make the team. And I think he should be on our roster. I have a couple of opinions, and I think we should put Jordan Love on the injured reserve list for the year. I don't know how serious his injury is, but I like this guy as a number 2, and maybe even trade Love.
What would you do then at the end of the year with Rodgers? I mean, is it then a foregone conclusion that you have to go work a deal out with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, yeah, and maybe Aaron would be a little more open to that.
If he doesn't have to feel like the pressure of getting out of there, yeah, maybe that becomes, something that Rodgers. I just don't know where Rodgers' mindset is. If I had to choose right now, I would probably say Rodgers does not want to come back next year. But who knows what the next 3-4 months are going to hold, in the sense that, maybe Aaron all of a sudden has this rekindling and wants to come back when it comes to Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball and everybody. And maybe he just says, I still think he wants to remain a Green Bay Packer and retire a Packer. I just think there's so many obstacles of feelings in the way right now that's probably more so ego to get the hell out of town.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, but maybe one of the obstacles for him to not want to stay or wanting to get out of town is the fact that our GM drafted a quarterback that's not doing the job.
Yeah. All right. Well,
that's my opinion, man.
It would depend on what the severity of the injury to Jordan Love's shoulder is, and I appreciate the phone call. I look at it this way. They said he is it's not a severe injury, and I just look at Jordan Love as a guy that we'll find out a lot more about where he stands coming up this week in practice. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. 1670. Thanks, Jim. Some good thoughts. I don't think they're going to put him on the IR. But the problem is, and Jim brings up a great point, is what happens if this injury is something that lingers? Bankert did look better. And Jim, as Jim in Lacrosse just said, which was a great call, Jim just said, look, I watch guys individually. And Bankert was playing with basically two guys are going to make the team. Not starters, but two guys are going to make the team. And a couple other guys are going to make the team, and looked pretty good running around out there. There's not a lot that you can really extrapolate from preseason other than individual performances, other than trying to see what the outcome of the game is. Nobody cares about the score at this point. So when you start looking at specific guys, are they winning their one-on-ones? Is Bankert understanding what defensively is being thrown at him? Oh, by the way, we haven't even mentioned this. And I thought it was rather funny. And you can tell it's a preseason game because Packers fans aren't necessarily, into the nuances as of yet. But what the hell? You're doing the wave and chanting "Go Pack Go" to the top of your lungs while the Packers are on offense. Matt LaFleur didn't really chastise the fans, but said, hey, can we not do that? Bankert was even kind of going to his ears and waving his arms in the air to say, hey, quiet down. You're talking about guys, rookies that are coming in there trying to understand the situation, trying to hear the calls and the checks, and they couldn't hear. And it was a preseason game for the fans as well. The fans are going nuts. And Banker's looking around like, what the hell? You're not helping the situation. So even the fans have to understand. You got to bring it in a little bit different manner. You're not necessarily in. It's been a year and a half, right? Or it's been at least a year and a couple of games since you've had a chance to see Packers football live and up close. So I would expect the enthusiasm to be a little over the top, and it was, which is great. It was kind of a yawner of a game, but it was. I mean, they were doing the wave and chanting "Go Pack Go," and this was all while the Packers have that thing, construction sign they put up on the jumbotron that says quiet, men working, offense working, or something like that. And they put it up there. People are like, what the hell? I've had my extra beer. I'm in. It's just fantastic. We're back, baby. Oh, my goodness. Kevin Holden from CBS 58. We got to talk some Brewers baseball. Brewers, specifically Christian Yelich, Lorenzo Cain and company, Colton Wong, lighting it up over the weekend. Those are the guys you're really counting on as you effort towards the postseason. We'll talk a little Packers football as well. But Kevin Holden from CBS 58 is going to join us after the top of the hour. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Up now, lift. Take over.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers took care of Washington over the weekend, taking 2 of 3 from the Nationals, including a 7-3 win yesterday. It left them 7.5 games up on the Reds in the NL Central and set up a massive series between the two teams starting tomorrow night at American Family Field. Players like Lorenzo Cain know the significance of the final 3 games between the two teams this season.
Yeah, man, we try to treat all the series, the same. We understand that they're chasing us, and we got to show up and play our best baseball against them. Definitely some huge games against them. Got to continue to go out there and give it our all, and hopefully we can come out, 2 out of 3 from them, and just continue to, play great baseball down the stretch.
Milwaukee monitoring another injury today as first baseman Eduardo Escobar left yesterday's game with a hamstring injury. Going to be getting an MRI to determine the severity of it. Again, Brewers off today, but we'll welcome Cincinnati to town tomorrow night for the start of a 3-game series.
For your next corporate event, you can own the mountain at Pine Mountain Ski and Golf Resort. 2 nights accommodations, live entertainment facilities, on-site event coordinator, and play 18 holes at Timberstone Championship Golf Course, starting at $309 per person based on double occupancy. Really, what more could you want for your next corporate outing? Call Barb at Pine Mountain Ski and Golf Resort in Iron Mountain, Michigan. Own the mountain.
Well, the Packers may be without their top pass rusher for the season opener in New Orleans. That, according to Coach Matt LaFleur. He said Zadarius Smith dealing with a back injury that has him day-to-day. Asked if the injury could threaten Smith's availability for the Saints game. LaFleur said it potentially could. Packers back in the field for practice today. They'll close out the preseason this Saturday in Buffalo. Turning to the Badgers, they were also back in the field for practice this morning. They're finishing up fall camp early this week and then shifting their focus to the opener against Penn State on September 4th. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on, and we are glad coming up here in this third hour. Got a lot to get to. Glad you're here with us today, and you can always follow us in so many different facets. Over on Twitter, at Bill_Michaels. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. YouTube, and subscribe. Everybody continues to subscribe, and I appreciate it. Boy, there's so many people that have found us on YouTube. And the subscribership is approaching 2,000. That's fantastic. Didn't even realize that there were that many people that even paid attention to the program. So thanks as always. On Twitch TV as well. We are at 1,738 subscribers over on YouTube. I never thought it'd be that high, but that's fantastic. You can go to youtube.com, just search Bill Michaels and subscribe. It's absolutely free, but that's a great way to pay attention to the program. And you can also find everything over at the website, thebillmichaels.com. Joining us now from Milwaukee, our buddy, the man, the myth, the legend himself from CBS 58 in Milwaukee, a guy that traditionally does the Drew Burgoyne squat set on a daily basis, and even in the studio without pants. It is one Kevin Holden. Kevin, how you been, buddy?
It's good. Yeah, I'm the first person in the history of television to have a 6-second delay off the air, and everybody's happy about that.
Yes, correct. There you have it. Hey, I want to talk some baseball first. Are we now looking at, and I don't want to read too much into it, but the last week or so out of Christian Yelich has been so much better, and now we see him get a couple of jacks, the grand slam over the weekend, a couple more hits yesterday. Are we looking at the reemergence of one Christian Yelich? And if so, what would that mean to this team's efforts towards the postseason?
For the first time the first time all year for sure, and maybe the first time since since 2019, late 2019. I think we are looking at a reemergence. I mean, I don't know if you'd ever see September 2018, that that time where it was homers or walks every single at bat. I mean, that's hard to sustain for anyone, but he's back to being that guy. He's back to being the center of the Brewers offense. And there's a couple of reasons for it. He was patient over the last couple of weeks. He drew a lot of or the last couple of months, I should say. He drew a lot of walks. He was one of the best in the on base percentage in this entire team, and that helped him stay consistent, help him get on base, help him do something for the offense. And in the last week and a half, the thing that I've noticed is that power to the opposite field starting to reemerge. Even Friday, when he was a pinch hitter and he had a ground out into a double play, that ball was roped. It was hit hard just to the left field side of second base. And that was, to me, it's a great sign. When you see him start to hit the ball there, that's when I felt good. So it wasn't a shock to me that he was starting to hit home runs after seeing him start to drive the ball to left. Because once he does, and pitchers start to change how they pitch him, then he can pull the ball for home runs. So it's, he looks good. And the other half of your question, what would that mean to the Brewers? With this pitching staff that they have, this historic for the Brewers pitching staff that they have, they go from automatic playoff contenders to very good chance to win the National League, at least to be hanging in a 7-game series with the Dodgers if they have a healthy Yelich.
Then you take into account Colton Wong has been hitting the ball. You've got obviously an offense that has somewhat woken up, and they've consistently gotten better really since Adames. I mean, I know there's been some talk about Adames winning an MVP, and could you consider him, or would it be Woodruff, or would it be Burns, the MVP of the Brewers?
Oh, man. It's great to have that dilemma, isn't it? When you've got two or three starting pitchers that could win that award right alongside Willie Adames. The team's pitching staff is unbelievable, but that's a staff thing. If you're talking about an individual, the Brewers were a different team the day they got Willie Adames. They were hanging around 500. They were pitching well, but they weren't hitting at all. And Adames has brought not just offense, but energy to the team. And if there's an MVP of the team, that's the guy, just because of, you look at what the team was before and what they've been since. He's incredible. And when you see the offensive numbers, you tend to forget he's a shortstop. I mean, that's still, even in this day and age, a position where you can't find that kind of offense that Adames is giving this team right now. So, yeah, that's the MVP. And, man, of all the great David Stearns moves, that might be number one right there, at least top 3.
You mentioned the pitching staff, and a 7.5-game lead over the Reds heading into September. Look, I'm not concerned about the Brewers losing this lead at all. The Reds have climbed into the wild card spot, so they obviously have something to play for. But when you get into the postseason, you would assume they're going to shorten their rotation. So I look then at the depth of this thing when you talk, especially when you start to talk about guys like middle relief in the back end of your bullpen. There's really not a chink in the armor, so to speak, here, is there?
No, and it's a good point. That you remember the way 2018 worked when Counsell, of course, in 2018, Counsell was throwing his starters like 2 innings. And in retrospect, we can understand why. And it's because those guys that were pitching in middle relief were the Corbin Burns, of the world. Like, he had so much great talent that was young, that was eating up those innings in middle relief, that were setting up the great relievers that they had, the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guys. So that's the thing that'll happen now when Counsell moves some of these guys to middle relief, and you get Eric Lauer, or you get Brett Anderson, or you get Adrian Hauser that can eat up 2 or 3 innings in long relief. That's a tremendous thing. I think Craig Counsell is as good at mixing and matching as anybody in the National League. And I think what'll probably happen if they go 4-man deep, if it's a 7-game series, it'll depend on the opponent. So you might see that 4th starter be Lauer against someone and Adrian Hauser against someone else, depending on strengths and weaknesses. And for the first time, maybe ever, you can look at all of those, just like you said, and say, hey, no matter who it is, it's a good 4 option.
Now I want to switch over to Packers football real quick. By the way, we're talking with Kevin Holt from CBS 58. So the Packers, Jordan Love did not play this past weekend. It's not the preseason that Jordan Love wanted to have by any stretch of the imagination. What if you're the Packers right now? You're Brian Gutekunst. What are you thinking?
I want to know what's for lunch. No, no, that's me thinking that. I think the first thought that I'd have when you're talking QBs with Brian Gutekunst is, thank goodness there was at least a resolution on the back end of the Aaron Rodgers situation, and I think we all kind of felt that would happen. But man, without Rodgers just sitting there and preparing for the season, what in the world would this thing look like right now? Like you would have Kurt Benkert segments in your show, and right. I don't think that's a good thing for anybody right now. So there's a big question mark there. That the fact that this was the chance, I thought, for Jordan Love to at least establish and say, okay, when the time comes, when Rodgers is gone, this is what I'm going to look like as the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. He got to do that during off-season practices, but he hasn't gotten to do that against anybody else, really. So that's a concern. I mean, he played the half of the first preseason game, and now he's sitting out time. So I don't know if I'm Goody. I'm like, can I schedule another preseason game for like November 1st, and or what's the bye week? December 5th. Put a preseason game December 5th and see what Jordan Love looks like then, because I want to see reps against other guys.
Yeah, I need to see more out of Jordan Love before we just say, oh, by the way, Jordan Love's the starter next year if you decide to push Aaron Rodgers out the door.
Man, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That one half against Houston, that one drive essentially against Houston where he had 89 yards passing, that drive was great. But that drive needs to be consistently what you see out of Jordan Love before you can say, okay, now you can throw him in a regular season game against top defenses and top defensive schemes. It's a little different when you're facing the Texans in a preseason game. You're not seeing the same thing that you'd see in a regular season game. So yeah, we're a long ways away, I think, from that thought that Jordan Love could just step in and be serviceable or better in a regular season game.
Now you find out that, we don't know what we're going to get out of Jordan Love because of injury. Now we find out that there's a back issue to Zadarius Smith. What kind of a dent does that put in your defense if he can't be, first of all, if he can't go right away, and secondly, if he's not going to be 100% this year?
I think it's a concern, and it brings us back to the concern at the linebacker position that the Packers have had kind of year after year. The concern that they were able to answer when they signed both Smiths, when they signed Zadarius and Preston. But Preston had an off year last year, took a little less money to stick around, and if Zadarius isn't there, then you shuffle a little bit. I mean, that's it's nice to not have the issues in the secondary that the Packers had for all those years, but those linebacker issues have kind of remained. And man, if you're talking about Zadarius Smith being out, you've got a couple of decent options out there. But I mean, if you're laying everything on Oren Burks and Ty Summers and that kind of thing, I mean, if that's what you're doing in the middle, especially, it's a different animal. It makes them vulnerable at that level.
I agree. And the fact that you didn't get a lot last year out of Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark's your guy. You're hoping Slayton really does fill the bill and Kingsley Keke takes that next step up. You would assume Preston Smith, he slimmed down, he feels better. Rashawn Gary, both of those guys on the edge, but you're really relying that you're thin in that position. You're really relying on the guys in the middle to all of a sudden just kind of take over. And is that front seven of the defense, is that your weakest link right now when it comes to the defense?
I mean, I think it's true just because, and look, there's a pleasant dilemma in that answer because Jair Alexander and company have become a strength for a team that not that long ago, it was just a few years ago that Julio Jones was facing off against the guy from the streets, like in an NFC championship game. Like the Packers had no answer for some of these guys, 3 or 4 years ago. So the fact that the secondary has become a strength is good, but yeah, that shifts the focus to the front seven. And what it does is, again, you're vulnerable to be gashed a bit by teams that run the ball well. And the first opponent that you have is a Saints team that doesn't have Drew Brees anymore. They're going to want to run the ball. And I think that will be their focus, and it's what the Packers will have to try to stop.
Speaking of running the football, the Green Bay Packers have now what we believe to be 3 solid running backs. Dexter Williams, not one of them, right?
No, I mean, you see a little bit of Dexter, but it's one of those things. There are two times in sports when coaches play their hands for you and you can see what goes on. One is in spring training in baseball, when you start to see like lineup combinations toward the end of spring training. The other is in preseason games when you have certain guys that are playing, taking their reps in the second half of preseason games. And we didn't see a whole lot of Dexter Williams until the second half of a preseason game. I think that tips the hand on, exactly how this backfield shapes up. And the fact that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon have become such good options, and A.J. Dillon looked good in limited, reps in that game against the Jets. I think those are, those two at the very front. You're probably three deep, like you said, at the position. But at this point, 22 is not a guy that I'm really counting on for a whole lot this year.
Real quick before I let you go, and then the wide receiver position. How deep do you think they go? Do they keep 6? Do they keep 7?
Okay, we had this discussion during the Telemundo broadcast on Saturday because we're watching guys. We're watching how deep this thing goes in the preseason. When you're looking at options 5, 6, 7, 8, and beyond, and I look at Epi, my color guy, and I'm like, there's 8. Like, there are legitimately 8 guys here. And he's like, they can't keep 8. I'm like, I know they can't keep 8. But you're talking Adams, Lazard, Valdez-Scantling, Cobb, Funchess, Equinemius St. Brown, and Amari Rodgers. That's 7 right there. And man, Malik Taylor is just screaming to be on this roster. And I'm guessing it's not going to be enough. But, man, that's if they take 6, then that practice squad is going to have multiple receivers on it. It has to because – from an option standpoint, it's been a while since they've been that deep. I mean, you have the superstar and Devontae Adams as sort of, but that the 8 should be on this team.
Kevin, great stuff, buddy, and we'll talk more down the road. Okay,
Bill, I appreciate it. Let's get back to squats here. Drew's going to buzz my phone.
I'm sure he's got you blowing it up right now, no doubt, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, Bill.
Thanks, pal. There you go. Kevin Holden, CBS 58. Drew Burgoyne, for those that don't know, Drew Burgoyne is the meteorologist for CBS 58 in Milwaukee. And Drew is like a fitness nut. And so when Kevin decided he was going to start working out and losing weight, he was going to go do the workouts that Drew does. And Drew is like a machine. And so Kevin started doing the workouts. And after like the first couple of days, he's like, I got to take some time off. I can't walk. I can't lift my arms. I can't do things after I go to the bathroom. I'm going to have to. And he had to call for, 24-hour massage just to keep him up and moving. That being said, going to go ahead and take a quick break. Come back. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. We continue on, and we are glad you're with us today. I thought it was going to be a kind of a stormy day rolling through the lower portion of the state of Wisconsin, but never materialized. I got a little bit of drizzle here. That was it. That was it today. So good stuff. I need to get my grass cut. I don't know about you, but the last week with all the rain and everything that happened over the week of State Fair, I haven't had a chance to get out there and cut it. So it's up to my ankles. I'm going to have to go do this stuff later today. I'm going to be out running around and collecting donations for the Fisher House golf outing and the motorcycle ride. And that's the one thing people say, that's great. You guys do that. And it is. I love doing it. I love shaking hands and meeting so many people and people that are willing to donate and help and want to help out veterans and military members and their families in some particular way. It's awesome. Awesome stuff. Went to a ride over the weekend for the blind, and they gave me a minute to speak, and it was fantastic. Got at Sloppy Joe's and Hubertus, and went to a lot of different bars and restaurants and Stelios and everybody from 5 O'Clock Steakhouse, a premier steakhouse in the city of Milwaukee. They couldn't wait to do something for us. It's really cool, but you kind of forget about all your household duties along the way. So today's the day I'm hoping no rain, because the grass is starting to tickle the backs of my knees. Man, oh man. Hey, I wanted to bring this up because Matt LaFleur, speaking to the media just moments ago, did make a mention regarding Jordan Love and what his expectations were. So let's take a listen as to what the head coach had to say today.
The schedule yesterday. What was the method behind having Wednesday as the off day this week?
Just when you look at 4 days in a row, that the accumulation of that can have a negative impact on your football team. So we'll go, especially the majority of today's practice is dedicated to those guys that didn't either play much or didn't play at all. Just want them to get out there, get a good sweat. Then tomorrow will be really everybody's involved, and then we'll taper back on Wednesday and then crank it back up on Thursday.
Are you kind of getting into full regular season week one prep this week, or is there still some work on Buffalo being done?
We kind of like split up our staff in terms of how we go about putting together, a plan for the final preseason game, because obviously you want your guys to go out there and be successful. And then we've got another group that's kind of more focused on some of the work that we need to get in before the regular season.
Matt, in terms of your preseason, timeline, obviously we're in a 3-week preseason now instead of before, do you feel like it's a little condensed? Do you feel under pressure to make these coaching decisions and moves now?
No, not really. I mean, as far as the timeline's concerned, it's the same as it really has always been. It's just the format's much different, obviously. And so it's our first time kind of going through this, and we're adjusting accordingly.
you even need to stress to them that, especially with the cut tomorrow and then the next one coming up, that essentially every rep could be their last time, last chance to show what you got, show what they have?
Yeah, I think these guys understand the ramifications of cuts in this league, and every time you go out on that field, you're being evaluated, whether it's one play or you're playing 60 plays. So the guys understand the importance of every play and trying to maximize each opportunity that they get to go out there and making sure that they continually get better.
And who gets to call the plays in Buffalo, and what do you get out of not having to call the plays? What are the kind of bonuses of you getting kind of a bigger picture view instead of focusing on play calling?
Yeah, we haven't necessarily finalized the Buffalo plan in terms of who's calling it, but the benefit is you really get a chance to kind of observe everything that's going on around you. Whereas when you're calling a game, you're so focused on the adjustments that you got to make. And certainly it was good to see the perspective of really for all three phases, and also it empowers your other people to develop. I thought it was a great opportunity for Luke Getsy and for Adam Stenovich. I thought they did an outstanding job, both of those guys, just in terms of getting the play calls in. I know that in my past, when I've been given that opportunity, it was beneficial, so that the first time when you actually are the coordinator, that it's not, as big of a deal because you've had at least some experience.
Were you nicer to them than McVay was to you?
Of course. Are you kidding me? Sean was questioning every play call. I think I told them, I said, I'll be quiet. They didn't believe me, but I think I did a decent job of not chiming in too much.
Man, I was trying to think in 19, how did you handle that then? Did Nathaniel take one of the games as far as the play calling, or how did you go about divvying up those assignments?
Yeah. Trying to think back to that. Yeah. I think that first year I handled the majority of it, but I think both Hackett and Getsy both got some time calling it. Because just everybody was so new. So it's not like I'd been calling plays for that long. So you want to make sure that, you're getting better as well.
Did you ever see yourself not doing it in a real game, or is that just always going to be you?
If I even answer that question, Bill, you're trying to get a headline right now.
No,
I see.
Seriously, like when you're a 55-year-old coach and you're in your 20th, whatever season here,
I think everything's up for discussion. Whatever helps our team the best way, that's how we'll always handle it. And if I think that's best for our football team, then that's the route we'll go. But there's a lot of guys that I have a lot of confidence in that are on our offensive staff that there's no doubt that they could do probably, if not as good, a better job than I can do.
So Matt, your first two games, new coaches installing new plans, but now you come out with this playoff team that had a good day against Chicago. You make that a point of emphasis to these players, bobblers, because you like playing the Bills in Buffalo this week.
Yeah, I think it's more about we're going to focus on ourselves, on our process, and just making sure that our guys are going out there competing to the best of their ability and, giving great effort, doing their job each and every play. I think that we're always going to try to bring it back to us and make it about what we do.
Do you want Joe Barry on the field when he's calling plays, or does he have a preference which way to go?
Yeah, we've talked about that. Certainly, I think there's a lot of benefit to him being down there. The energy that he brings, and it's easier, obviously, when you have direct communication with your players when you're making adjustments. I do think there's some benefit to being up top in terms of it's definitely a much more sterile environment where there's not as much noise. You can really hone in and focus on making sure you're putting your guys in the best position. So I think at the end of the day, everybody feels a little bit differently about where they would rather be. I know for me as a play caller, it was a little bit easier to gather your thoughts and make adjustments when you got everything nice and laid out in front of you and there's no chaos going on. It took a minute to adjust to the field. But I love the interaction. I think you get a better feel when you're close to the action of just things that you might not feel in a box in terms of maybe it's how one of your guys is attacking a corner and it's happening right in front of you. So I think there's benefits to both. And I think it's just, we'll tinker with that and try to make the best decision possible for us.
Said something to you yesterday about, he hasn't played a lot of his ones in the 2 games so far, but he says working against you guys in the Jets really gave him a good look. You feel that same way about the offense, that you've got a good enough handle on how you guys are going to be functioning as a group that hasn't really taken game snaps?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of it's going to come down to making sure that we just get the necessary move the ball periods, and we're going to start doing more of those in the weeks leading up. So it's less scripted, more move the ball, more call it, trying to get the tempo in and out of the huddle, the substitutions, just the overall communication and execution of all the little things that go on in between each and every play.
And we talk to players all the time about how they get their development, how they get more comfortable year 1, year 2, going into year 3. I'm curious as a coach, though. I asked Robert last week about your evolution as a coach. He said you're 26-6. There's not a lot to really correct there. But do you feel more confident now as a head coach now than you did 2 years ago? Do you feel more comfortable? Do you feel like you've developed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you make more comfortable, but just you never want to lose sight of what's gotten you to where you've been, and certainly that's first with guys in that locker room. We've got some really good players and we've got a great staff, and it's okay to lean on those guys. But I feel like every day you're learning, you're growing, and that's got to be the mindset for everybody in this building.
There you go. That's Matt LaFleur. We'll pick it up, but stay tuned. Jordan Love going to be back at practice. That's really kind of the bigger news coming out of today, more so than anything. So at least he is on track. So you get a chance to see, get another look at Jordan Love as before the preseason culminates, because it's what you want, man. You really want to be able to see what this cat's going to bring to the table before you start thinking about decisions down the road. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
How we're looking. Bill Michaels Show is on the air. Hey, there's a great company in the Milwaukee area, and it's called the Water Doctors. And I love them because, obviously, I have a Connecticut water softening system, which is second to none. It's absolutely fantastic. But also, they help veterans with canines, and they've been doing this for a while. It's called Custom Canine Service Dog Academy. And did you know it costs $25,000 to train a dog for service? And there's many veterans and people that need rehabilitation and such that they train these dogs for. Well, Water Doctors have teamed up with Custom Canines, and they continue to raise money. So if you could, whether it's $2, $5, $20, whatever it happens to be, go to the letter H, the number 2, and the letter O, H2ODoctors.com, H2ODoctors.com, and you'll see right there on their website. You can click and make a donation to Custom Canines. Not only do they have a great water softening system, and I love it. I've talked about the Connecticut system for years and years and years and years. But the Water Doctors putting their money where their mouth is, and they continue with your help to be able to put some of these dogs through these service academies. And they're wonderful, wonderful dogs with a great disposition and demeanor, and they give them to these people in need that need service dogs, whether it's for the blind or rehabilitation or people that just need a dog. Dogs are pretty comforting, if you will. So anyway, go to H2 the letter O doctors.com. That's H2 the letter O doctors.com. Matt LaFleur continues to talk to the media. Let's take a listen.
For you now than maybe 2 years ago when you're your first camp? Same job, but what's the
Yeah.
difference?
Well, I think number one, you know everybody so much better. You know what they're capable of doing. Obviously, the relationships are so much stronger. I think it's easier for me to have, if when needed, a tougher conversation with whether it's a coach or player. You know, just making sure that we're continually trying to improve and making sure we're giving the great effort that these guys do. And so, yeah, I think just they know where it's coming from. It's because we want the best for everybody in this building.
How much different is the COVID travel policy for this year compared to last year? And is this a good test to kind of get a feel of that going into the season?
Yeah, that will be a good test. To be honest with you, I haven't done my homework on that yet to really feel it out, but I'm sure there's going to be some similarities to last year. But it sounds like it's going to be much more open for the vaccinated people on the trip in terms of what we're allowed to do. Last year, you know, we were basically confined to the hotel wherever we were at. And this year, you know, certainly you can see people if you are vaccinated.
What did Kylan show you on that play on Saturday where the ball went through Kurt's hands and he was Johnny on the spot and caught it and made a little something out of it?
Yeah, that was just a great reaction. There was zero hesitation to him, and he's done a really nice job all throughout camp in the 2 preseason games. And, you know, he's a guy that we're pretty excited about.
Maybe I'm overthinking that, but I would think as a rookie, maybe you'd have tunnel vision on whatever your assignment is on a play. Does that show that it's going to move beyond that, or am I just totally?
I just think it's one of those things that he just reacted to, and there wasn't a lot of thought about what to do. Just like I thought Kurt did a nice job getting up off the ground, and there was no hesitation there, you know.
You set a lot of your defensive starters, but one you haven't is Barnes. I get that he's a young player, but he's also your communicator out there. What has he shown you in the 2 games that he's played in, and how important have these snaps been for him since he's going to be running your defense out there?
Yeah, I think he's done a nice job doing his job and making sure that the communication's on point. I think that's one of the things that we've really tried to emphasize with not only our defense, but everybody, whether you're on special teams or on offense. Just communication in the huddle is so imperative, making sure that we're giving the other 10 guys out there whatever the personnel may be, both offensively and defensively. And he's got good command of it. And I just think that, again, you said it, he's a young player. So those reps are important for young guys.
You reached out to Robert at all just to commiserate with how many crappy things have happened to his team in the last 4 or 5 days that he was here? I mean, those guys had some pretty rough luck.
Yeah, no, we definitely talked about it. And I think, you know, it's one of the unfortunate things that happens in our profession, you know, whether you lose players or whatnot. And I think as the leader, though, you got to have that mentality that, you know, we're not going to flinch, and because nobody's going to feel sorry for you. That's just the reality of the business that you're in. Just like I tell you guys all the time, no matter who's out there for us, the standards and expectations don't change. So, you know, unfortunately, he's got to go through that right now, but we got a lot of confidence that he will get the most out of those guys and put them in position to be successful. And then, you know, the players got to go out there and do it.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
We have 2 in here. We'll start with Aaron Engler.
Well, the other day you mentioned where your focus was prior to the snap going off on offense, whether it was the point of attack, the expected slam of the ball, etc. What's that like in a regular season when you're calling a play, the communication gets shut off at 15 seconds? What are you looking at? What are you kind of focused on?
Well, I would say up to the point of the snap, you're more or less thinking about, okay, what is my next call going to be? Because there is a rhythm to it. And so you kind of zero in on maybe 1 or 2 plays. And certainly that can change based on the outcome of whatever the play may be. But I still think at the point of which, when the ball is snapped, your eyes typically go to where that point of attack is, or maybe you're looking at the coverage or whatever it might be. And then certainly if you get kind of off scripted, whether it's a get back on track situation, or, you got a third down, or you get a big play and you go down in the red zone, certainly whatever thoughts you may have had in your head about what the next call might be, it can certainly change quickly. And you just got to make sure that you kind of try to stay ahead of every situation, kind of earmark whatever plays you might want, so that there is no hesitation when you get in those situations.
Olivia Reiner.
Hi, Matt. You mentioned that because you weren't calling the game on Saturday, you could observe everything a little bit more. What's an example of something that you noticed that you may not have been able to have you been calling plays?
Well, I think I talked about it after the game, but there were some things that happened, like the wave going on when we're on offense, and that I probably would have never even thought about. I know we were showing a bang bang play on the sideline that we made on a third down, which I've never seen before in an opposing team's stadium. So there were a couple of issues that came up.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's it. That is Matt LaFleur meeting with the media just a little bit earlier today. So really, I mean, there's things. This again, reiterating the fact that if you are, by the way, a fan in the stands of the Green Bay Packers when they are on offense, shh. There you go. And it did not only a chuckle from myself, but from the media in general when he was talking about that the other night, saying, hey, look, we're glad you're enthusiastic. You haven't been in the stands in a while. This is great. Glad to have you back, but let's remember some etiquette here. Packers fans, be better than this. You're the smartest damn fans in the league. You're unbelievably passionate. There's like 4 organizations that have it. We're one of them. You're getting crazy on me. Make sure you get all that out of your system in the preseason, because come regular season, we need to shut up. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers are back at practice after losing to the Jets 23-14. Kurt Benkert got the start at quarterback in for Jordan Love. Benkert threw for 151 yards, 1 touchdown, a quarterback rating of 83.9.
There's nuances of the offense that show up that they don't really come up unless you go through it and you make that mistake, or like, hey, we actually want you to get a little wider on this path. If you're not getting the reps and messing it up, then you don't really know to fix it.
Running back Kylan Hill, who scored a touchdown, asked how Benkert was in the huddle.
Kirk, he came in with the confidence. He handled the huddle very poised, very commanding.
Wide receiver Malik Taylor led with 4 catches.
I think it went pretty well. I feel like I built a pretty good relationship with Kirk. You know, I feel like on third down, if I'm pressed up, I feel like he's going to come to me.
On defense, rookie nose tackle TJ Slayton had another good day with 4 combined tackles and his first NFL sack.
I was just trying to rush hard, and I just seen myself come free, and I seen him sitting there, stuck my arm out, and it was kind of like the clothesline. It was mind-blowing for me because, you know, I got my first sack in the NFL. Even though it is preseason, it's still the first one.
A Packers outside linebacker Zadarius Smith has been dealing with a back injury, has only practiced 1 day during camp. Matt LaFleur says he's concerned he could miss the season opener against the Saints.
I'm not quite sure when we'll get Z back. He's injured right now. It definitely is a concern.
Something that threatens week 1 with him.
It could potentially.
Packers GM Brian Gutekunst.
You know, obviously he's working through something right now, and I'm hopeful that's not the case as far as missing game 1, but
it's not contract related then?
No.
That's Brian Gutekunst. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Good stuff from our good buddy Mike Clemens. As always. Hey, we got a lot of good people helping us out. Our friends at Nice Ash. I was down there over the weekend, too. Stopped in, said hi to Joette and the staff, and had a cigar. Hung out down there for a little bit. And they've got a great place downtown Waukesha. If you're looking for a place to support that supports veterans, theniceash.com. That's theniceash.com. Also, our friends at Skipper Buds, they still have boats coming in, and the ones that were ordered in July are arriving now. You can check out the huge selection: yachts, pontoons, sport and deck boats. I mean, I know everybody's backed up. Everybody's waiting for boats and such to come in, boats, cars, all that kind of stuff. But they continue to buy boats and have new ones come in almost daily. Go to skipperbuds.com, but call Todd 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. And if you're looking for, if you got a business like a showroom or maybe something in your own home, in your garage, or maybe an industrial, check out Epoxy Flooring Done Right. They provide Wisconsin home and business owners epoxy flooring coating services, reasonable prices, and really great workmanship. Everybody that comes into my home and looks at the floor in the gym, they all that's the first thing they marvel at, is they absolutely love the floor. So check out Epoxy Flooring Done Right. From Milwaukee to Madison to Green Bay, everywhere in between. Call Sean, 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852. Again, 262-443-2852, and it really will enhance the look of your home or your garage and just make everything look nice and clean and such. Ben Kenny, I'm going to bring in for this. Ben, I heard you guys talking earlier today about the Wisconsin Badgers and where they stand going into this season. Did I hear you correctly that it would not surprise you if the Badgers ran the table?
It would not.
I don't want to call it likely, but I could see that happening more likely than them going, say, 8-5.
Okay. I don't think they're 8-5. I think only for the fact that history will tell me the Badgers trip up somewhere. So I think
that is true.
It's a 2-loss season. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see them around 10-2. And I mean, the number's 9.5, and it makes a lot of sense because there's a scenario where they fall against a Penn State and against Notre Dame and maybe one in the Big Ten West. But I see them 10-2. But they're going to be favored in every game, at least entering the year. So that tells you it's possible.
Do you think that they will beat the Jack Cohn-led Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
Yes, I do. I mean, Jack Cohn scares me, obviously, and I think he'll be a lot better in a Notre Dame offense than he was even at Wisconsin, and he was pretty good. But I mean, it's coming off a bye week. It's already 2 games into the year where you see that flow starting with Mertz. I'm confident. I'm more confident about that game than I am Penn State week 1.
I first of all, I cannot stand Brian Kelly. I've just never been a Brian Kelly fan ever since the way he left Cincinnati high and dry and taking the job to go to Notre Dame. It's not so much the fact that he took it, it's the way he did it. He was just an SOB. But I hope that he goes down in flames. I hope they beat the absolute crap out of Notre Dame. I know there's Notre Dame fans out there that can't stand that, but I just do. What is going to be the loss, do you think, if the Badgers take a loss? Do you think it's to Penn State, or do you think it's somewhere in the actual West?
So Vegas right now would say it's to Penn State or to Notre Dame because those are games Wisconsin is 3 or 4 point favorites. To me, I think Iowa is, one, the biggest game on the schedule, but also they're the Badgers' best competition in the West. So if they drop one game in the West, I think it's to Iowa. But Penn State week 1 really does scare me.
See, Penn State scares me. I don't know why. They got Michigan at home, so I think they're good at Camp Randall. The other one, Army's actually not been a terrible football team. If you go overlooking and you beat Brett Bielema and you're getting ready for Purdue, you could overlook Army along the way. They could just jump up and surprise people. But other than that, the only other game that would bother me maybe would be if by chance Minnesota ends up to be decent, and you're already starting to look towards the Big Ten championship, they could overlook Minnesota at Minnesota this year.
Definitely. And that'll be Graham. It's crazy to say, but that'll be Graham Mertz's first true big time road test because all last year there were no fans. So you're not in that environment. And this year, all their road games are pretty much cupcakes. And then they play Notre Dame. It'll be like a 50-50 crowd. So that'll be his first.
Regardless, I know it's Bielema, but they've got some revenge to extract against Illinois from a couple.
Yeah. And they're going to have a rough year.
Yeah. Down there. I'm that's just one of those games where it's kind of like going into Evanston and you play in that goofy stadium. There's not a lot of people that are Illinois fans. I know Bielema is supposed to give him a shot in the arm of adrenaline as if he's going to come back and save the program or something. But that's always a weird environment down there. And I don't trust being on the road in Illinois. Not that I think Illinois has a lot of talent, but that if they get the win there and they finally go, okay, we can breathe. Don't overlook Army. Army's not been a bad football team. And they're one of those teams that can kind of sneak up on you before it's all said and done. But yeah, I agree with you that it could be Minnesota at the end of the season. So.
I do feel like Jim Leonard will run circles around the Army offense, though. I feel like that'll be like the most fun he's ever had, stopping their running game.
Yeah, because they still run a lot of option, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're still full-on triple option.
Yeah, big time. So anyway, that's just kind of a quick breakdown. I still think that Ohio State's going to win the East before it's all said and done. I have not looked, to be honest with you, I haven't really looked at Ohio State's schedule. But I don't. Do you think it's the last year for Harbaugh over Michigan? I do. I think it's it.
No, because I don't think they can go and find someone better. But I mean, their measuring stick. Different. Well, that's true. Their measuring stick, everyone thought it'd be Ohio State, but they'll never beat them. Their measuring stick needs to be Wisconsin and Penn State. Like if Wisconsin keeps running over them, then yeah.
I think when you look at Ohio State, their big game is going to be against Oregon the second week of the season. Obviously, I'm really anxious to see what Indiana does. Because
they're going to be good.
They're just quiet good, man. Indiana's going to be good. Then they got Penn State. And then after that, I think they beat the absolute crap out of Michigan at the end of the season. Now, they're on the road. They play at the Big House, which is always a tough place to go. But But if there's ever a year, because I don't think Ohio State, as much as we talk about Ohio State just having another quarterback and another quarterback and another quarterback, I don't know if they're going. I mean, they're true freshmen when it comes to quarterback play. If you're going to get them in any year, this might be the year to get Ohio State. So we'll wait and see.
I do know it will not be as good as Justin Fields, so that's positive.
That's for sure. We got 1 hour yet to go. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers took care of Washington over the weekend, taking 2 of 3 from the Nationals, including a 7-3 win yesterday. It left them 7.5 games up on the Reds in the NL Central and set up a massive series between the two teams starting tomorrow night at American Family Field. Players like Lorenzo Cain know the significance of the final 3 games between the two teams this season.
Yeah, man, we try to treat all the series, the same. We understand that they're chasing us, and we got to show up and play our best baseball against them. Definitely some huge games against them. So, got to continue to go out there and give it our all. Hopefully we can come out, 2 out of 3 from them, and just continue to, play great baseball down the stretch.
Milwaukee monitoring another injury today as first baseman Eduardo Escobar left yesterday's game with a hamstring injury. Going to be getting an MRI to determine the severity of it. Again, Brewers off today, but we'll welcome Cincinnati to town tomorrow night for the start of a 3-game series.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive free and Fleet Farm app, or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Packers may be without their top pass rusher for the season opener in New Orleans. That, according to Coach Matt LaFleur. He said Zadarius Smith dealing with a back injury that has him day-to-day. Asked if the injury could threaten Smith's availability for the Saints game, LaFleur said it potentially could. Packers back in the field for practice today. They'll close out the preseason this Saturday in Buffalo. Turning to the Badgers, they were also back in the field for practice this morning. They're finishing up fall camp early this week and then shifting their focus to the opener against Penn State on September 4th. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome back. A bit of a surprise. We just find out that the Packers let go of 5th-round draft choice Kamal Martin. Last year, 2020, Kamal Martin has been banged up. We knew it when they drafted him. He was a guy that was banged up, and then he kind of fell on the depth chart. They moved him to outside. And now Kamal Martin, according to sources in a tweet just put out by Rob Domofsky, Kamal Martin looking for a job. How about that? Kamal Martin out with the Green Bay Packers. So they must have looked at him and just thought, you know what? Not getting the job done. Injuries have been problematic. Oren Burks is ahead of him on the depth chart. And Oren Burks hasn't done much. But they've given him a lot of opportunities. You picked up Devondre Campbell in the offseason. Chris Barnes, who was a street free agent coming out of college, quickly moved ahead of Kamal Martin on the depth chart. Ty Summers is one of your better special teamers. So it was interesting that Kamal Martin out. Kamal Martin out. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, please do it. 877-867-1670. But interesting. This is from Matthew. Matthew says, what are your thoughts on Jordan Love finally coming back to practice. So what if he does not play well in this upcoming game? Then what? That's a great woulda, coulda, shoulda. You're right. Brett says the Vikings are going to pick up Kamal Martin. Well, first of all, Kamal Martin's from Minnesota. He played at the University of Minnesota, so the Vikings will bring him in, and then all of a sudden, now he could. They cut him loose. If they wanted to bring him back to the practice squad, they could probably do something like that, as Gary stated. But it's been historically proven that the Vikings, anybody that the Packers cut, all of a sudden you're going to find them over on a Vikings roster for whatever reason. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to fire off some comments, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Hit us up there. This one is from, let's do this. Let's go to the phone calls. I got Luke listening to us in Eau Claire. Luke, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill, I got a question for you. Paul Chris, coming from Pittsburgh, was supposed to be this high-powered offensive guru guy, and I just haven't seen it in the past couple of years. If we have another disappointing season with the Badgers, I know Graham Mertz will be in his second year under his scheme. Do you think he'll be on the hot seat? And then my other question is, this is kind of fun for you. Do you do any fantasy football? I'll let you talk about it. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
As far as fantasy football goes, me personally, I do play it. I'm in a league with a buddy of mine because he has more time to put towards it than I do. So him and I go in on it together. And but we do have the fantasy football updates each and every week, every Thursday. They started last week with our buddy Paul Charchian. Charchian is back, so we'll cover that as well. So to answer your question, yes, on both fronts. When it comes to Paul Chris, would he be let go? Excuse me, no. Well, you look at the weaponry they've had over the last couple of years, and while some areas have been good, some areas have not, the quarterback situation has been something that's been somewhat at times up in the air. And I think this year is going to – now, this year it's interesting because they don't have that true, big-time Heisman candidate running back. That is true. But they do have some good weapons. And I still think Ferguson's one of the best pass-catching tight ends in the country. So, and with Graham Mertz in the second year and the way this thing should materialize, yeah, I think that they're going to be better. Are they ever going to be Ohio State? Ohio State draws wide receivers from all over the country. Paul, and let's be honest, Paul Chris has been winning the West for a while. His nemesis has been Ohio State. If he beats Ohio State once and puts this team into the Final Four, he's pretty much got a ticket for the rest of his life to remain the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers until he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore, which is probably where he's pretty much at right now. But no, I don't think they make any kind of a move. I just don't think sometimes they pick up the same style of weapons that Ohio State has. And they're more of a professional style offense. They're more of a pro style offense than they are the ride and decide offense that, say, Day and company run over at Ohio State. They don't pick up that type of the athletic quarterback. They've got more of a pro style quarterback. So we'll see what happens this year. They put Graham Mertz in last year. Last year was kind of experimental. I mean, his first game, he came out and set the world on fire. And everybody went, there it is. And there were some struggles after the fact. So this year, second year in the system and such, I'm looking for bigger and better things. And I think they're going to be a better offense. 877-867-1670, 877-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do it. It looks like Kamal Martin has been cut by the Green Bay Packers. Two players drafted that year that are no longer with the team. Stepaniak was placed on the injured reserve or retired list earlier this month. You're right. Look, the one thing I will say, though, is you have to give credit where credit's due when it comes to Brian Gutekunst and guys that he's drafted. I mean, Rashawn Gary has panned out. Darnell Savage Jr. had a hell of a second half of the season. Elkin Jenkins has been solid. I'm still waiting for now Dexter Williams. I don't expect Dexter Williams to make this team, but Ty Stummers, going back to 2019, been a solid special teams player and a decent fill-in. He's not a great coverage guy when it comes to playing middle linebacker. Kingsley Keke, you're hoping gets the next step this year, and you're still waiting for Jay Sternberger, who's going to be suspended for the first portion of the season, to kind of come into his own. Otherwise, that 2019 draft, not a bad way to go. Obviously, last year, Jordan Love is the guy that we're waiting to see if he develops. Then there's A.J. Dillon, who's solid. Kamal Martin, that draft choice, the linebacker, the 5th rounder out of the University of Minnesota, gone. But John Runyon came in and filled in admirably. And then you've got Garvin and Scott and Jake Hansen still. Jake Hansen, a backup center. As of right now, Jordan Love will make or break that draft unless A.J. Dillon just kind of tears it up. And then there's still Josiah DeGuara, who did not play last year because of injury. Maybe he becomes that gadget guy that they were hoping to get. But I just thought it was interesting they drafted him. I didn't think he was a 3rd-round guy, but that's when they went up and got him. Give him credit for Stokes. Give him credit for Myers. Give him credit because it looks like Amari Rogers can be the real deal as well. It looks like John Charles, the defensive back, is going to be solid. Slayton, for all intents and purposes, looks to be it looks to be good. And then Kylan Hill, another one that is going to be the 3rd running back on this team that is already looking to be solid. Give him credit for Jair Alexander. Give him credit for Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Even though they picked Scantling and Equinemius St. Brown back-to-back, but you would have liked for Oren Burks, that 3rd-round draft choice, to come out and just have been so much better. And Jamon Moore obviously just didn't amount to anything. And Cole Madison ended up taking time off and then ultimately to come back only to get cut. And then they took that 5th-round draft choice of J.K. Scott, remember, who is somewhat consistently inconsistent. But overall, I mean, he's been a pretty solid general manager for what he's been able to accomplish. And then some of the pickups that he's made along the way and the signings he's had, the jury is still out on Brian Gutekunst. It appears this year looks to be, if you go through the first 4 or 5 picks, and then Kylan Hill becomes a good running back or a decent backup running back, and he's going to see some time at some point this season. And I go to Ron Wolf when he walked up to Donald Driver saying, you know what? If you make this team, you're going to make this draft look really good for me. That's kind of where Kylan Hill is. If Kylan Hill makes this team and then displaces Dexter Williams and becomes a really solid 3rd-string type of guy running back, and then Stokes can fill the bill in the corner, Josh Myers is your starting center, Amari Rogers contributes on the wide receiving core, and he's tutored and kind of brought up to speed by Randall Cobb. If you got, Royce Newman, performs admirably as a backup guard. Slayton really kind of comes on as a defensive down lineman. John Charles plays well. I mean, and then you got Cole Van Lanner. We're not even talking about him. But if those guys turn out to be anything, that's a hell of a draft. That would be a hell of a draft. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do so. This one's from Gary. Says, if Love's second preseason game ever, and he'll be surrounded by backups. Well, it doesn't matter. So was Kirk Bankert. I get what you're saying. You want to give all the credit to Jordan Love, and Jordan Love's going to be the real. I don't think he is. Gary, if you and I want to place a bet on it, in 5 years, we're sitting here talking about Jordan Love and his replacement. I don't think he is. That's just me. Everybody says there's something there. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see it. But I don't think there is. And I don't care if he's playing backups to the backup. So is everybody else, and people perform. So is Justin Fields. He looks much better. So did Bankert. He looks much better. So far. We'll see. We'll see what Jordan Love does. But after one contest, I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, it's the Jordan Love show. Because it may be because of money and because Aaron Rodgers is gone, but that doesn't make him good. The old adage is you can have a kitten or a cat that has kittens in the oven, but that doesn't make them biscuits. Just because Jordan Love's a 1st-round draft choice and he's being paid more money than every other 1st-round draft choice, and because he's got the label of quarterback on his back, doesn't make him good. Just makes him a quarterback. Put a helmet on a guy. He's a football player. There you go. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do it. Hey, also, if you're looking for a great place, now this is, because it's a resort, it's called a resort. It is a resort. It is what it is. They have golf, they have kayaking, they have fishing, they have canoeing, they have hiking, mountains, tons of fun awaits your family or you. If you want a corporate event, they have got a great corporate getaway ability up there. Pine Mountain Resort offers everything. Call the group sales department at Pine Mountain Resort, or it's not too early. Now, I hate to say this. It's not too early to start booking your snowmobile group rides right now. I know it sucks to even talk about snow, but it's true. Or if you want to book the fall color tour up there, you can do that as well. 2 nights accommodation. You got welcome receptions, meals, entertainment, all that kind of stuff. Call our girl Barb up there at Pine Mountain Resort. Go to Pine Mountain Resort and check it out. PineMountainResort.com. That's PineMountainResort.com. Call Barb, 906-774-2747. 906-774-2747. That's 906-774-2747. And make sure you tell them we sent you, that you heard it here, because they give you something. Say, I want the Bill Michaels special, whatever that happens to be. I know it's cliche. I know it's self-serving, but it's true. It's true. Marty sent me an email over the weekend. Stayed at Pine Mountain, walked through the door, got a buy one, get one on their meals at the sports bar, just because they mentioned it. He said, we would have never had that before. It's not huge, but thank you so much. Meanwhile, during the week, we had some people that had, I don't know if I should say the business or not, up in Sheboygan, that took 8 salespeople up there. Said, I heard it here, talked about it, got a great discount on our meals from our friends at the Pine Mountain Resort. Barb was fantastic to work with. Again, call Barb, 906-774-2747, 906-774-2747. Good stuff. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hard to find
We are back. We are glad to have you. Monday, it is it went from being a dark and gloomy and sucktastic looking day to a sunshiny, warm day outside. Loving it. Might jump on the tractor here today yet after all. I'm appreciative of that. Still get out and run around and do some charity work later today. Pick up all the donations and such. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hey, before I go any further, I want to remind you, we got our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 5th. We are now less than 2 weeks away, and I can't do this without you and need your help. Thanks to our friends at Bud Light who have been with us for all 14 years. This is the 14th annual. 15 years we will have been doing this next year. I can't believe it. I'm so proud that my name is on it, and I appreciate everybody that's participated in it over the years. We've raised tens of thousands of dollars for Fisher House, Wisconsin, and helping veterans and their families and those that are in the military. But we can't do it without you. So if you could take a second, if you're a motorcycle rider or know someone who is, get pre-registered. Get pre-registered for the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 5th. And we're going to leave Milwaukee Brewing. We've got a great ride. We're going to be at Smoke on the Water in Okauchee. Going to be at a new place, not a new place in general, but just a new stop for us, which is the Reef Point Resort on Pike Lake up in Hartford, Slinger area. We've got Joe Mama's. We've got Stoll's Old 109. And then we end up having a hell of a party, which the bands were announced. I'm thrilled to announce the bands. The bands are Hairbangers Ball and Rebel Grace, both going to be on the stages at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. And they have been with us for a while now. And our friends at Growth Law Firm, came on this year, and they said, we want to help. Named as one of the nation's 20 best motorcycle injury attorneys by BikerJusticeUSA.com. And they're fantastic people. And thanks to them for being a part of the program. But we can't do this without you. So if you know somebody who rides a motorcycle, or you know a group, if you know combat vets, if you know Axemen, if you know Blue Knights, I mean, any one of these groups out there, or any other military group or what have you, Patriot Riders, please help us spread the word. Go to FisherHouseWI.org, FisherHouseWI.org, and go to the events link. Click on it, and you'll see the information. You'll see the motorcycle ride. Just click on it, and you can take it right to pre-registration. But coming up after the bottom of the hour, I will tell you, because there's a certain aspect to pre-registering that only those who pre-register will get. And it's really, really, really cool. And so many people have stepped up in this. And I can't wait to talk more about it. But, hey, speaking of that, tomorrow, 5 o'clock, Happy Hour live stream is back. It's a weird one. The Happy Hour live stream tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. It's out on Facebook. The notification's been on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and on Twitch. Tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, weather permitting, we're going to be live in front of the Fisher House. So you can actually physically see what it is your dollars have built. And we have a new one coming in Madison in a couple of years. So we're already raising funds for that. But I'm going to be there. Angie Christensen, who is the vice president of Fisher House, Wisconsin, will be there with me. We're going to talk a lot about the charity. But I'm not doing the interviewing. It's going to be different. So I'm really looking forward to this. So please mark your calendar tomorrow at 5. That you can tune in and watch the Happy Hour live stream. Okay. Let's go back to the phone calls. Talk to Shane. Shane, welcome to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Bill, how you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. What's up? What are you thinking?
Bill, you're the best. I listen to you every day.
Thank you.
You're the greatest. I appreciate your takes. I want to hear what you have to say about the Aaron Rodgers, LeBron James, how entitled they are, and also Kurt Bankert is the next coming to Brett Favre. What do you think?
Oh, boy. Okay, there's a lot to deal with. Okay, what's the first part of your statement there?
LeBron James, Aaron Rodgers, entitled. Okay. What do you got?
LeBron James and Aaron Rodgers. First of all, if I had LeBron James, as much as I just don't like LeBron, you got to give the guy mad props. He is, if he's not And he'll be compared to Michael for all time. I think he's probably the second, third. He's top 5 in the greatest players in NBA history. We can argue about who's the best. You know, Bill Walton. You can talk about Russell. You can talk about all these big men, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Go through the whole list, and they changed the game. And then there's Michael Jordan, obviously the king of kings. You've got guys like Larry Bird, guys like Magic Johnson that all defined their roles when they really kind of came of age. So LeBron, he's kind of a tweener, man, because he's got height, he's got strength, he's got ability, he's got body, he's got speed, he's got the shot from the outside. He changed the way that position is looked at and the way kids that are gifted coming out of high school are viewed. So, and Kobe did as well. So I think LeBron's going to go down as probably one of the top 5 greatest NBA players ever, and it's argumentative as to who would be number 1. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest players to ever quarterback. I think he's probably top 3. And I think if I had to pick today, whether he'd be here or wouldn't be here at the end of the season, I think as of right now, my bet would be placed, and I would say he would not be a Green Bay Packer going into 2021. But I also have September, October, November, December, and January for this whole 5 months, for this whole thing to work out to where maybe, just maybe, Aaron Rodgers swings back into the favor of the Packers, and he really does get what he ultimately wants. He gets the ability to pick his time to retire and to retire a Green Bay Packer, which I think would be the best storybook of all. Now, salary cap is going to play into that because what is it going to cost the Green Bay Packers ultimately to keep him around? But if they can get enough pieces around him and figure out a way to bring his numbers down and he takes a concession, then I think Aaron Rodgers could still retire a Green Bay Packer, albeit it's probably an outside shot at this point. There you go. That's my take on both of them. What's the other question you had?
And then I had Kurt Bankert next coming to Brett Favre.
Kurt Bankert, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks so much. And thanks for listening. Thanks for the compliment. Kurt Bankert, the next coming of Brett Favre. Boy, that's high praise, man. I know there were some people that said he had Favre-like moments. Ben, didn't you say that? Didn't you say that to
No.
Debo and Rowdy the other day?
Definitely not.
Okay. Who said it? Was it Rowdy? Did he say it?
I'm not sure. I was away on Thursday and Friday, so I could have missed it.
That's true. The next coming of Brett. First of all, I don't think so, because there's only been one Brett Favre. That's unbelievable praise for him. So I don't think that's where he stands right now. But it doesn't mean he couldn't turn into that. Sure, it does. He could turn into that. Who knows? But that's like when they said Montravius Adams was going to come in and he was the next Warren Sapp. When they made that proclamation for Montravius Adams at the Senior Bowl, and they said, "Oh, this guy, he's going to be the next Warren Sapp. He's got all that, you know." And we all banked on that, and it just never materialized. I'm going to say no, Shane. But if it turns out to be that, then damn, I'll take it in a heartbeat, because that means you're going to see a lot of success, and hopefully it's success in the Green Bay Packers uniform.
I mean, he just threw for 140 yards, a touchdown, and an interception in a preseason game.
You are correct.
Like, I don't get it. Like, everyone's acting like he's going to win a starting job like next week somewhere.
I don't think so, but if he puts in, what happens if he puts a solid, let's just say Jordan Love comes back and plays 3 quarters and looks okay. Bankert comes in, plays the 4th quarter against the scrubs, but just lights it up. Then what?
He will show the Packers that either they need to keep 3 quarterbacks or he will go be a backup somewhere else. Maybe I'm just not as high on him as others.
Yeah, I believe that he's probably going to end up somewhere else. They still may keep 3 though. If Jordan Love doesn't look good in this, wouldn't you keep Bankert around?
Yeah, definitely. And just in case Rodgers goes down and you need to put in a guy to compete and maybe win, but he's not coming close to a starting caliber NFL quarterback this year.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Let alone Brett Favre.
Let me ask you this. If if Jordan Love looks like Jordan Love did in the first game and Bankert plays much better, how much run, if Aaron Rodgers should go down, do you give Jordan Love if the team is not winning?
If the team is not winning, that's a good question, because I think I would give it to Love just so you could develop him and give him that experience, because that's the only way he'll get better. Right. If the team is winning and maybe needs a more consistent, steady force, maybe it's Bankert. I think it just depends on where they are in the season.
I would agree. It would be if the Packers, and you can't think that the Packers are not going to be playing winning football. I said 12 wins in the season, and if Aaron Rodgers goes down and say they have say they're 7-2 and Rodgers goes down for a 3-game stretch, you're going to give Love the football, but do you think his leash has got to be relatively short, right?
I honestly have no idea. I even think that Love impressed me more than Bankert has in the limited experience I saw.
Love has impressed you more.
But not many agree with me. Just in terms of his first game in 2 years, and he looked comfortable, and even he was able to ad-lib and get away from discombobulation. I am happy with where he is, and I don't understand why people love Kurt Bankert so much.
I think it's just because Bankert looked good. I think Bankert surprised. His level of expectation was much lower. And that's the reason people are looking at Bankert going, wow, because you're looking at Love expecting the world, and Love gave you average. So people look down on Love, and Bankert you're not expecting anything out of, and he gave you average to above average, and people are going, wow. So the expectation was so much lower. Therefore, the return on investment, so to speak, is so much higher. Whereas Jordan Love was a guy they traded up to get in the first round, and he doesn't in fields. So people are looking at it going, not that good. I would agree with you.
I mean, Sam Bradford was a great preseason quarterback too.
Right? There's been a lot of great preseason quarterbacks that have not turned into anything. So that I would agree with. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Thank you for calling Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. How may I help you?
Gina Della from Pella. You're answering the phones?
Absolutely. Now with the choice of 5 years, no interest, and 5 months, no first payment, or 10-year 2.99 APR financing, everyone on Team Pella Wisconsin is digging deep to make Wisconsin proud.
Bring home the gold, right?
Already have. According to a 2020 survey for leading national brands, Pella windows are rated #1 for highest value, highest quality, and most preferred by Green Bay and Milwaukee homeowners.
Talk about being at the top of the podium, but what's a head coach like you doing on the field?
Hey, on my team, everybody's suiting up to make sure no one's left out in the cold.
Well, it is still summer,
And frosty fall air will be here before you know it. Set your free consultation today at PellaWI.com/radio or call 855-PELLA-WI.
Certain restrictions apply. See show for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. They've been doing it for a long time, and the fact that they've been doing it for so long also makes them one of the best because they've been through the trials and tribulations, the successes and the failures. And as time has gone on, they continue to get better and better and better. And now they've been recognized by you, the consumer, not by a bunch of different industry standards, but by you. When it comes to selling your home with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin in it, you find out, oh, wait a minute, my house is worth more because of this. When you go to open them and close them and they actually work and they seal up and they lock and they're secure, you get it. They're valuable to you. When economically they begin to save you money, both in the summer and in the winter, then you find out how valuable quality-wise they are. They come out. By the way, this is a free consultation. They come to your house. They measure numerous times. Then once they get the measurements perfect, then they write it up and they custom cut them, custom assemble them, bring them to your home. They custom install them, and they clean up after themselves. And they're fantastic people. They offer two different ways to finance these things because windows and doors aren't cheap. We all know that. But whether a homeowner, a business owner, whatever it happens to be, they can help you out. And get a hold of them, 855-PELLA-WI, 855-PELLA, P-E-L-L-A, 855-PELLA-WI, 855-PELLA-WI. And all you got to do, get a hold of Gina Della and say, hey, I want to get my windows and doors looked at before the cold air starts to get here. And they'd be happy to come out and do it for you. You get choices right now. 5 years, no interest, no first payment for 5 months, or you get 10 years, 2.99% APR. That's it. Take it, whatever is financially best for your pocketbook. 5 years, no interest, no first payment for 5 months, or 10 years, 0.99%. Either way, it's a great deal. Go to 855-PELLA, P-E-L-L-A-W-I, or go to PellaWI.com/radio. PellaWI.com/radio. And see for yourself. They got a lot of good stuff. Kylan Hill, after the Jets game, had a solid game. We all know that. He tweeted out the number 256. He's a 7th round draft choice, remember. So what does that mean?
That's just my daily motivation. 7th round pick. It's just my daily grind motivation. I'm trying to do it, just to prove how to keep it on my life.
That's it. He was picked number 26th overall. And every day he tweets it out to say, look at everybody that was drafted ahead of me. That's his daily motivation. So what did he see during that 12-yard down run? That capped off the 8-play, 75-yard drive going back to the first quarter.
First, I just had to get to my O-line. I had one guy to miss. Once I had that one guy to miss, I saw the sideline. I seen the guy at the goal line. So I was like, this is my opportunity. I got to win this one-on-one battle. Just put my head down, just push it in. And that's what I did.
So last week, the run game, not great against the Texans. They replaced Lucas Patrick with Royce Newman, the right guard position. So was this a good move? Was it better?
I'll say both groups do an amazing job. Today it was just clicking for everybody. Everybody just, coaches, preachers, everybody just do their job, everything work out. So one by one, everybody did their individual job, including me, and everything just transpired, and I just seen holes, and then I hit them.
So there you go. It wasn't one group over the other. It was clicking today. Well, already a polished guy. When he gets pinned into a corner, I mean, that's a tough question to come out and answer. And he answered it perfectly. He was also asked last week, the Packers run game against the Texans was poor. And he was asked, well, so were you guys able to make adjustments?
Yeah, majority of it just us, just making mistakes. I wouldn't say the other team or the opponent was just taking advantage of it. It was just, a lot of guys, their first time being out there for a little minute. We got a lot of young guys out there, especially for the preseason, and giving our opportunity to prove ourselves. So everybody just settled in. Everybody just did their job. And the second game, you feel me, everything looked better. The third one going to look even more better, the more comfortable we get.
And then when you get A.J. Dillon, he gets 6 touches, 40 yards. And he was asked when A.J. Dillon comes out and gets that kind of productivity, everybody getting pumped up?
Huge. Our O-line, they love when we run the ball well. They come over there and pump our guys up. When they blocking well, we pump them up. So whenever we running the ball well, it feel like everybody just excited and everybody get going.
So when he was drafted 256th overall in the 7th round, is that something that, considering he tweeted it out, is that something that bothers him?
Yeah, that's just my competitive nature. Nobody likes people taking in front of them, but it is what it is. I feel like God blessed me to be here, just to take advantage of what I got and what's delivered, so whenever I get the opportunity, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to just try my best to impress.
So he was also asked, the quarterback, Kurt Bankert, came in. Jordan Love wasn't able to go this past week, and he was asked about Kurt Bankert's kind of stepping in this week for Jordan Love at the quarterback position.
Yeah, well, Kirk, he came in with the confidence. He got a lot of experience. He got more experience with me. He can teach me some things. He handled the huddle very poised, very commanding, being a strong leader. So I feel like he did an amazing job.
And then on his decision to cut inside, 12-yard line touchdown run, he goes out and then breaks it back in, comes in, plows through, gets into the end zone. He talks about that run.
It depends on how the DN sets the edge. But I feel like our tackle, he did a good job pushing him out. It wasn't no cutback lane, so I said I'm going to just be a playmaker, you know. Like our coach says, when it ain't there, when the raw talent sticks out, you got to do what you got to do. You know, this the NFL that separates the best from the average, you know. Just got to be a playmaker, and that's what I did once again.
So there you go. Kylan Hill, the running back for the Green Bay Packers. Likable guy, too. Really likable guy. The running back for the Green Bay Packers. And it looks like he has, at least as of right now, pushed himself into that backup to the backup running back spot on this team. So we'll see if he continues to solidify it moving forward. But looked really good this past weekend. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You know what? You're right. I promised you that I would tell you more about the motorcycle ride and what's at stake. Let's do this. We'll do that when we come back, because I do want to give you an update as to where things are. But it has been great, and continue to go to pre-register. Go to fisherhousewi.org. fisherhousewi.org, and then go to the events page. You can see the motorcycle ride and get pre-registered, and I'll tell you why and what's coming up in the program as well. More of the coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers head into their final week of camp after losing to the Jets 23-14 here at Lambeau Field. Up next, they head to Buffalo to play the Bills. Linebacker Zadarius Smith has not participated in camp due to a back injury. Last Monday, he did some drills and had a setback. When will Zadarius be ready? Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not quite sure when we'll get Z back.
Is it something that threatens week one with him? Could he possibly miss week one?
It could potentially.
Zadarius Smith, one of several players who had his contract restructured in March before free agency. Is this contract related? Brian Gutekunst.
Like I said, we worked through something earlier to kind of move money around and stuff, earlier, like right at the beginning of training camp, I believe. I don't really talk about details of contracts, but with this specific thing, I mean, he's got an injury that we're working through.
Another linebacker, Rashawn Gary, has been in and out with a groin injury. Outside linebacker coach Mike Smith.
I think, Sean was going through the same thing. They just want to be out there, and they just want to get reps and they want to do it. And it wasn't really that time yet for him to start getting reps. He's eager to get out there, and that's what you want.
The Packers were up and down on special teams against the Jets. They gave up a 73-yard kickoff return, but Green Bay's Reggie Begelton had a 28-yard punt return that was encouraging. New special teams coordinator Mo Drayton.
He was able to make a few people miss and carried a few people with him. And if you go look at the shot of the sideline to watch his teammates be happy for him, that was really, really fun to watch. I can't wait to watch it with the guys and talk about those positives.
From training camp in Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Good stuff by Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show. Certainly appreciate Mike as always. And don't forget, Mike is brought to you by our friends, the Bay Motel. Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable. They've got the Bay Family Restaurant, which has some terrific meals. And if you want more information, all you got to do is get a hold of the Bay Family Motel. The Bay Motel in Green Bay, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441. Tell them Mike sent you. Don't tell them I sent you. Tell them Mike sent you. Good stuff. So a couple of things to get to before we get out of here. One, I had mentioned this earlier, and I had a few people that said, can you remind us of what it is? So for those who pre-register for the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 5th, it's the Big Units Fisher House Poker Run, benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin, which we know is military members, veterans, and their families. It's on Sunday, September 5th. Only for those who pre-register, you're put into a drawing. And all of this, it started out, we were going to give a couple things away, and we were going to make it a donation type of thing. And I said, no, all the donations that come in will go for those who pre-register. Okay. All those that pre-register, they all go into a pot and one person is drawn. So this is what we have so far, and it continues to grow. The Premier Steakhouse in Milwaukee, that's been around a long, long time, is 5 O'Clock Steakhouse. They gave us gift cards. Calderon Club, both in Fox Point, the terrific Italian restaurant, the Mom and Pop in Fox Point, and the fine dining one downtown Milwaukee have given us gift cards. If you're a biker, everybody knows Hollywood's Roadhouse, which is out in Oconomowoc. Stenny's Tavern, I've always said, best wings anywhere. The home of the Bill Michaels garlic cheese bread, also second in National Walker's Point. They run shuttles to all the games. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks, Marquette, Admirals, you name it, anything in Milwaukee they send people to, including all the different festivals. So there's more to come there. You're also going to get a gift certificate from Wisconsin Harley-Davidson for anything in the store. There is a free pontoon boat rental on Pike Lake. That's courtesy of Reef Point Resort. There's tickets to Badgers games, Admirals games, Badgers game, Admirals game, and also any race upcoming next season for Road America, plus a private brewery tour of Milwaukee Brewing in downtown Milwaukee. There's more to come, but right now, when you add it all up, it's a value package price at $1,450 thereof. So if you're a motorcycle rider and know somebody is, keep spreading the word. Not only is the ride good, but for those that pre-register, last year we had 162 people pre-register. Do the math. 1 out of 162. You got a pretty good shot at winning this prize package, and you get all of that. So thanks to everybody that is pre-registering so far. But hopefully, if we get up over 250 pre-registers, that first of all, that's still great odds for you to win, and secondly, that would be huge for the ride. So keep it coming. That's awesome. A couple of different things before we get out of here. This one being the question is, hey, Bill, do you think that Jalen Berger is a Heisman Trophy candidate? He was a true freshman last year. But Ben Kenny, do you think that Jalen Berger, where he doesn't have to split touches with Groshek and company and Watson and such, do you think if he carries the load that he could become a Heisman Trophy candidate this year?
No, I don't think he's there yet. Also, because Wisconsin brought in a transfer from Clemson who
Correct.
figures to, I don't want to say full split, but they're both super talented. So he's not going to get Jonathan Taylor level carries.
No, I don't think so either. But if he does break out and have some kind of a freshman to sophomore leap, I think maybe going into his junior season, he gets some recognition.
I mean, if Jonathan Taylor can't go win the Heisman with what he did, then I don't think anybody can.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And then Max says, how about Christian Yelich? Do you still want to trade him? Let me say two things. First of all, I never said to trade Christian Yelich. Never said that. I said, wait. First of all, you got to wait another year to see where Christian Yelich is. I said, if you take this year, if he was continuing to struggle, and last year, that would equal one season of struggles. Then you wait for 200, 300 at-bats next year before you start even thinking about something like that, where you would have to say, you know what, maybe something isn't going to come back for Christian Yelich. But let me give you a few numbers here. Over his last 7 games, which is a short litmus test, it's only 20, almost 30 at-bats. But over his last 7 games and his last 30 at-bats, he's hitting .379. Let me give you that. 29 at-bats, 11 hits, 2 dingers, 9 RBI, strikeout 7 times. No walks in his last 7 games. But he's hitting .379.
Best hitter in baseball since Giannis bought the Brewers.
Right? So you go back, and remember the article that we read last week that people had kind of pointed to that says he needs to be more aggressive. He seems to have been more aggressive. And you're starting to see some of that pay off. In the last 15 games, he is 16 of 54, 11 RBI, 3 walks, and 12 strikeouts, hitting .296. .296. And then in the last 30 games, his average is from .217 up to .243. So that's the last 30 games. However, for those that have not been paying attention, the Brewers, and I said if they get up near the middle of the pack, it's going to be a miraculous thing, but that means the bats are coming to life. At the right time, the Brewers have steadily risen as one of the worst teams when it came to overall OPS, which is basically the magical statistic that everybody wants to use now in Major League Baseball to determine how good you are offensively. The Toronto Blue Jays, number 1 at a 783 OPS. The Texas Rangers dead last at 658. But the Brewers at one point, go back to the beginning of the month of June, they were 28. Since then, and really since the Adames trade, they have steadily risen. They were stuck at 19th. When you open up your statistical book this morning, they have now a 721 OPS, and they are 17th best in baseball. Now, if they can get up around 13 to 14, that'll be somewhat miraculous, but that would also say that their bats have been some of the hottest bats in baseball, and the ability to score runs have been some of the best in baseball over the last 30 days. They're moving. They're moving. Now, their average, batting average-wise, still not great, but they're up from 28th to 26th. 28th to 26th. And when you look at it overall, Milwaukee Brewers have the 11th most they've fallen off a little bit in home runs. They've fallen off a little bit in home runs, but the Brewers, in the meantime, have risen from 24th to 20th in doubles and extra base hits. So the small ball is starting to become more prevalent. There you go. Got to throw it out there. Good stuff today. Brewers off today. Back at it against the Reds. Pivotal series coming up tomorrow at American Family Field. We'll talk more about